Welcome back to another edition of the Last American Pubcast. Raise your glass for another night as we kick off here tonight. Hopefully you're sipping your favorite beverage as we get together on this wonderful pub that nobody knows about, that we're all here together just talking about a bunch of stuff. And I'm excited to have, of course, our great friends here joining us at the Last American Pubcast. Of course, our good friend Tom and PJ. Welcome, guys.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having us back, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are permanent fixtures.
Yeah.
Good to see you both again.
Yeah,
like
for
coming
sure.
in on the cheers, and they're like, "Hey, Norm," you guys are just regulars.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's good to be where everybody could someday know your name.
That's it. It's great to see everybody coming in. We are broadcasting, of course, over on Facebook, over on Twitter, Rumble, Odysee, and of course on the Let's Be Frank channel and the designated Last American Pubcast channel, which is where I want you guys to go and subscribe. We need to grow that a little bit larger. But it's great to have you guys. We have a great show composed together today. We have a lot of articles, a lot of news stories, a lot of things to talk about. It was a busy week. It was a busy week in news, guys. Thomas says it's okay. It's a three-way.
Yeah, it has been a busy week, and I've been a little bit out of it. I actually missed 2 podcasts I was supposed to do this week. I've spent the last 3 days in bed, so I dragged myself out of bed, poured myself a couple of beers, and I'm ready to finally get a chance to comment on a lot of the stuff going on. So,
yeah, well, happy honeymoon. We're happy to hear that for you. Congratulations again.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the first story I wanted to kind of jump up with is, of course, we've talked about crime and Democrat-ran states and cities. And unfortunately, this is what the people have voted for in many cases in these areas. And it's a sad story to talk about, but a NASCAR driver out pumping gas. I'm sure he was probably looking at the gas pump and somebody probably had, I did that sticker on there. And he's probably, man, that's gas. I'm so used to having my guys pump the gas. And what we have here is Mr. East, right? What was his first name?
I've watched zero
Bobby.
NASCAR in my whole life. So.
Bobby East. Yeah, here it is. NASCAR star Bobby East stabbed to death in a Southern California gas station. What a sad story to hear, especially if you're a NASCAR fan. I know NASCAR has not done much ways for their fans recently with all of their woke takes and pushing Bubba Wallace and all of his hoax stuff. The Bubba Smollett, is that how we called him for a while there?
Yeah.
But this is a sad story regardless. I mean, this is something that's happening, not in just Southern California, but many Democrat states and cities out there where crime is out of control. And I'm sure we're going to learn that this guy was probably out of jail, probably on some cash bond or something, or maybe released early from whatever crime he had previously committed.
Well, I think you have 2 options when it comes to a Southern California gas station, and they're both bad. So any story you read about this is going to be awful. It's either going to be you overpaid for gas by an insane amount or you got stabbed to death. I think that's the only things that do happen at Southern California gas stations, or any California gas station, really. But
well, I mean, I know it's not saying a lot that he was a NASCAR driver, but I don't think it's fair to say that he was also a criminal, Frank.
No. Well, he wasn't a criminal. The gentleman that went to town on him. That's the guy. That's the guy.
Who could have seen this coming?
Probably his pit crew. He fired his pit crew, and now he's regretting it.
Now, you said something pretty. What was it? You mentioned something about Cernovich had tweeted something out similar to this.
Mike Cernovich. Well, I didn't know who this person was, but I was scrolling through Twitter, and Mike Cernovich said, "If you see this person coming, or someone who looks like this coming, preemptive self-defense should be justified." And I didn't know what the story was. So then when you scrolled and it was this person, that was what kind of struck that memory of just a few minutes ago, me seeing Cernovich say, a guy with tattoos all over his face, that's someone you should be able to defend against preemptively. Now I see why.
It almost makes the case for red flag laws, though. It's like if you had a government you could trust, it doesn't sound like it's actually that terrible of an idea. Like somebody comes in with face tattoos and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to let this guy buy a gun. But yeah, no, I maybe preemptive self-defense is a better way to go than red flag laws.
I really don't like the idea of there being such a thing as brandishing. Like just because if you hold your gun, if you put your hand on your gun, and you lift
Right.
it even an inch in the holster, they could say that that's brandishing. That should be bearing, right? You're bearing your arm at that point. You're not using it with lethal force. So I think there should be, to his point, if you see this guy walking up on you and aggressing upon you like this, you should be able to draw up and
it's
aim
like a
it at the
rattlesnake,
ground.
right? Giving you a little bit of
Right.
a warning. Say, hey, dude, back
Like
off.
a rattlesnake, exactly right, or any kind of venomous animal, painted red and blue and violet.
But we've
Yes.
done everything in this country to make it impossible for you to defend yourself. I mean, I was watching a series
Especially
earlier.
in California.
Well, especially in California, but like I was watching a series earlier of law enforcement and legal experts talking about all the different ways you could still go to prison when you defend yourself, and it showed a situation of a guy in a diner, and the guy's robbing. He turns around, starts threatening the customers, so the customer draws on him, and he's like, "Well, you could have left when he had his back to you." That's the answer: is don't care about life around you, don't care about your own life. You have to retreat always. And that's the case that we've made. We've made it impossible for people to defend themselves, like you said, with brandishing and things like that as well.
And
Well, that's
apparently,
what it's
it looks
like
like
in
it looks like he's a homeless guy who was released. He's out on parole, and he has now been killed by police in a raid to recover him. So he has been killed.
Oh, he has been killed. Was that an update on the story? Yeah.
That looks like that's the update from Sports Wars. That's
Okay,
what we're
you
hearing
got
on
an update.
Rumble.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there you go.
Unreal. All jokes aside, I mean, I'd love to make fun and say, yeah, he looks like a NASCAR driver. And I was poking fun saying, because Frankie said, yeah, this guy's likely a criminal, maybe an illegal alien. And I was joking saying, yeah, but he's a NASCAR driver. We can't just let him get killed. But all jokes aside, it's sad to see anybody get stabbed to death. It's sad to hear anybody get killed. But it only makes a headline because it's a NASCAR driver. If this was any other person, white guy getting stabbed, pumping gas, next.
Yeah, and we had talked about, I mentioned, things like this happen in NYC where you have all kinds of crimes that take place, and you're the one that would be arrested, just like the bodega owner.
I think
manager.
you mean Bogadas.
Bogadas, that's right.
Yeah.
I gotta
The
get my
Bogadas.
Bogadas. The taco behind the counter there who was stabbed by the fried chicken. Now, no, but if that wasn't called on security and there wasn't enough outrage, that guy's still be in jail right now. The one who defended himself against this, and this is something also that Cernovich had said on Twitter, is if you're in one of these liberal cities, you have to consider, if you're going to help somebody, are you going to go to jail for helping that person? Because the police are going to arrest you, and the DA is going to throw the book at you.
Well, it also,
are you going to protect yourself? Are you going to save yourself? This guy's being stabbed, and he's defending himself with a knife, right? And the woman who stabbed him doesn't have any charges because the prosecutor said, well, she was defending her lover, her boyfriend, who was killed.
Who was let out by a DA in New York before that. So the DA wants to punish the guy who's defending himself and has this extreme soft spot for letting out criminals that caused the incident to happen in the first place.
Well, of course, this is what we have happening in LA with the what's the DA's name up there? Where
you're talking about in San Francisco?
Maybe San Francisco. I thought it was LA, where they're not allowing relatives of people that have been impacted by crime know when parole hearings are coming up for criminals.
I saw that. Yep, I saw that in California.
They're disbanding their entire unit.
Yeah, so it's the LA DA Gascon. Disabled.
Thank you.
He disbanded a unit that notifies victims of their assailants' parole hearings. That was yesterday that I think that story came out. So yeah,
well, isn't that kind of freeing to think though? I mean, he's so pro-victim in a way, right? The left always wants to be pro someone, and they used to be pro women, but now they can't define what a woman is. So instead of looking at like a rape victim and thinking, hey, let's go let her know that guy is getting out next weekend and that there's a hearing she can go and appear at and maybe keep him in prison. Instead, we're going to get rid of that because we want those guys to be out. And that's all you have to tell someone is, hey, they want the rapists out of prison. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to, you start thinking about it. Obviously, it's intentional, right? Why is it intentional? Why are we creating this type of society breakdown that we're currently seeing? I mean, you go back and you look at what Mao did back in China when he was in there, where they let the criminals out and they waged war on the tradition of family and traditional society.
The fact that people, this is just a side note from what you just said, but the fact that people like us can talk about Mao, and then you have to realize that 90% of people you talk to literally don't know who that is, shows the problem with our education system. Because everything going on right now, we want to turn it back to Nazis, like this victim culture coming from the left. Everyone on the right's a Nazi. Everything's a Nazi. We have to compare everything to Germany, but we don't look at the fact that people in Biden's administration have praised Mao, praised his little red book. We're looking at the farmer uprisings going on right now because Maoist policies are being implemented all over the world. So it's not just the cultural policies, but the farming policies, everything that led to 53 million people being starved to death in China over 3 years. And most people don't know that statistic. They know 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust because that's the only thing we've been taught. That's a whole nother story, though. It has to do with the Frankfurt School and why there's this focus only on Nazi Germany and not the rest of the communists at the time.
What do you say the number is?
I think it was 50. Well, it's somewhere between 53 and 60 million of his own citizens that were starved to death. I think between 1957 and 1960 or something like that. It was
a great leap forward. It was called.
Right. Yeah. But we've got people in the Biden administration praising Mao's little red book. I mean, you've got it. When people say that BLM started good, this is another thing. Like, they've always been Marxist. They praise Mao as well. So it's coming from a cultural revolutionary standpoint, and it's coming from the agricultural standpoint as well. So I think it's just weird to me. Like, every time I hear Mao, I think to myself, it's weird that if you bring that name up to most people, they give you this blank stare.
That's true.
But it's relevant.
Every time I hear Mao, it's because the cat is coming around the corner.
Right.
It's very relevant, though.
Can I say about the bodega story, though? Is Tom, you said
time's
something
up.
about...
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
You said something about the fact that if people hadn't known about this guy, that he would still be in jail right now. He'd still be on Rikers Island. And that's what I find interesting when people hear a lot of people from the right with this idea that we can just fade off. We should get off the internet. We shouldn't be a part of any of this stuff, instead of realizing that power can be wielded in two ways. It can be wielded for good or evil, and the internet is one of those powers. And that's why I think people like us are trying to use that. So every time I hear conservatives, be like, oh, the internet's awful, you should never be on there. It's like, that is where the battlegrounds are happening right now. And that's where we have to wield power in a positive way. And this is a perfect example of wielding the power of the masses and the power of the internet to actually have real justice instead of just this bullshit social justice that we're seeing coming across Twitter, because the power goes both ways.
Well, this is why Tom continues to make numerous accounts every time they kick him off of YouTube, because he knows the battle is in all of these arenas.
Right.
I was just going to say, this is exactly like one of the greatest movies in arguably one of the greatest movie franchises of all time, Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard, which at the end, spoiler alert, John McClane, the hero, has to not just shoot the bad guy behind him, but shoot him through himself. So he puts the pistol to his, I know it's unrealistic, but he puts the pistol like under his clavicle, under his shoulder, moves his arm, and then pow, and shoots the guy behind him through him. So sometimes you have to, by going to the enemy, by even hurting yourself, by having to recreate YouTube after YouTube after YouTube after Twitter, because that's where the fight is. And yeah, it's a little, damaging psychologically, but that's why we're here, to go insane together.
Yeah. I like the fact that you were able to work in a Live Free or Die Hard reference into that. That was great.
I try at least once a day. You got to talk about Die Hard in some way.
Is that where it ends, when they're on that container ship or the whatever in the water there in the canal, or is that in their Die Hard movie?
That's Die Hard 3.
It's a different film.
That's 3. Okay.
Yeah, that's Die Hard with a Vengeance, I think, is what
that
you're
would be a different film.
Is that with Samuel L. Jackson with him?
That's Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Die Hard with a Vengeance, but I'm not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because the end they had the container ships with the fake gold. I think that's what he's talking about.
Right. Okay, I see.
I'm also a Die Hard fan. So
okay. Man, did that stuff get like dog trash after?
After 4, was there only one more?
No, there was one more where it was like, now he's got a son and he's even better ass.
Well, they were in Russia or something like that, wasn't it?
The only reason kind of green screen and sliding up and down concrete, but they never had road rash, and it made no sense.
The only reason I own that movie is because I bought the whole Die Hard collection in a steelbook box set or something like that. But I'm just like ashamed that was included in the box set.
In the box breakfast tacos. Hey! Thomas Filiaw says, Die Hard with a Priapism. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to bring this story up for you guys, since you guys are from the same state. And we talked about this recently, or I know I sent it to y'all, talking about Governor Whitmer and her massive lead, apparently, what they're reporting, over here at Daily Caller says Democrat and Michigan governor massive lead over Republican candidate spells trouble for the GOP. And let's see if they say where this poll was. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what you're
poll.
going to learn here. I can tell you in a total summation. Here it is. Ready? In a state that they were able to pull off a steal in 2020, polling suggests they may be able to do it again in 2022 and in 2024. Go figure. In a state that we have argued over and over with all the evidence that a court would need has been stolen, and the AG candidate, Matt DePerno, has said he will make this his number one priority issue. You're telling me that it's out of the question they could do it again? I'm shocked.
Well, this is also a state. There's also a state where they took the top 5 leading guys and made a case that they didn't have enough signatures.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of BS going on here, but there's 2 things I want to say about this. Sorry, besides what Tom said, is it goes on to say something along the lines of, well, when you ask people, they don't know that much about this candidate or that candidate. And there's 2 reasons for that. I think one is because people don't pay enough attention to their state politics, and 2, because at this point, like, you've got maybe 10% of the Republicans in the state that pay attention to an actual primary, and then after that, you'll start to see people actually recognize the one candidate. So I don't take this poll with a lot of grain of salt in that way, because it's
especially
like, the average Joe doesn't know who's running the GOP primary. It's like, well, they never do. So it's skewed in the way that it represents the data anyway. But yeah, this state's super corrupt, so that doesn't.
I also would tell you, just from my experience, knowing when I tried to help Terry Lynn Land run her Senate campaign here in the state of Michigan, part of how they do these polls, and I don't know how this particular poll is run, but just in general, the polling when they're doing these kinds of who will you support polls, they're run by the candidates to try to figure out where they should spend their time. If something's close, maybe they're going to put more resources into one county or another district or what have you, because they think maybe they can pull off a win where they otherwise wouldn't. I don't see this as being much more than people who want Whitmer to win saying Whitmer's leading. And that's the people in this state who would call guys like my uncle, who likely have a annual or a monthly donation set up to the DNC, and it just goes and goes, and they don't know and they don't care. And when the call comes in and the poll says, will you vote for them? They just say yes. And I think that's who they're asking to get that number. I think
it was 600 phone calls, so it's not like it's a super accurate poll.
So yeah, it's like you're calling through, in that case, it's like you're calling through a list of donors to say, hey, you still support us? And at that point, I don't know where they did the poll or where they got the numbers from, but I don't take that for, a lot of worth, a lot of weight.
It's kind of like Bill Gates' favorite book that you see in all of the pictures of him, How to Lie with Statistics. Like, I just,
just in the
when
background.
they put a poll out like that, I don't know. This state is Whitmer. Nobody's hated in the state more than Whitmer by everybody.
That's what I was going to say. So PJ, if you go to a Meijer right now, if you go to your local town Meijer or Walmart, for the folks at home, Target or whatever else, another big box store like that, and you just yelled, fuck Whitmer, you'd probably get people yelling, yeah, or clapping.
Everywhere.
You would not have someone call security. You would not have someone say, that's offensive. You wouldn't get a Karen. You wouldn't get a cop. You would get nothing but a cheer or maybe a let's go Brandon.
Granholm, who was terrible, she was liked enough by, Granholm, who was absolutely terrible, you could at least argue that people were supporting her. I can't see any support for Whitmer in this state. Like, it's not the same at all. So the fact that they're trying so hard that they're actually having the FBI raid Ryan Kelly's house, and then they're having 5 of the other GOP candidates with some BS charge that they couldn't get 10,000 signatures. The one guy who's leading the polls for the GOP somehow couldn't get 10,000 people to sign a petition for him. It's not believable.
Was it because they were saying the signatures weren't correct? Or
they're saying they're not real. They're authentic and verifiable signatures, which is funny as all hell that now the Democrats care about verifying signatures when it comes to an election.
It's kind of weird,
right? They cared about when Gavin Newsom was going to recall, but that's the only other time.
I thought it was racist if you wanted to verify someone had a signature, because, back in the day, slaves couldn't even write their names. So how dare you assume that in the 21st century, someone can, make their mark?
Well, how dare you think that black people know how to get an ID in this state, in any part of America either, right?
At this point, I'm starting to realize maybe they can't, based off of what public schools are teaching kids. As far as
that's their goal. Their goal is that we become as dumb as they treat us. I made this point like a month ago. Like, they treat us like we're really, really stupid. And in my on the Float show, one of the titles was, "Are they retarded?" ? And it wasn't to be tongue in cheek. It's just either they're that stupid or they think we are. And if neither are the case, then it's that they want you to be. So they're just going to treat you as if they want you to be that stupid, and we're going to go with it. The media lulls you into it. And all of a sudden, we're how many months and now going on 2 years into a Biden administration? That doesn't make sense. If I talked to me 2 years ago, I'd be slapping me saying there's a Biden presidency.
Right. It's a basic parenting thing, though. Like anybody who has kids knows that it's better not to talk baby language to your children, because you will just continue to teach them to speak that way, right? You'll create a speech impediment, or you'll talk down to them so much they don't actually grow. So the best thing to do
What are you talking about? That doesn't happen.
Is to talk to them like an adult, and they'll grow up. And now we're seeing the left do exactly that. They talk to us like we're stupid to make us stupid. Yeah.
If that is the case, now that explains a lot. Occasionally, I will find myself.
I may clip that segment there.
That's not possible. Every once in a while, sometimes I find out I bobble my awes, and I'm like, wait, I've never even had an impediment. How does that work out? But my mom always talks baby talk to the pets, and now I'm thinking I do that too around the house. Maybe I'm giving myself an impediment. If they've ever told you, like in a communications class, they say you can extend your vocal range by doing exercises. Maybe if you do, talk to the cats and dogs in a stupid way, you start saying stupid things.
No
That's
wonder
my
my
excuse.
chickens cluck with an impediment. Maybe because I'm.
Good Lord.
Oh gosh.
Goodness. Well,
that went somewhere.
Yeah, this wasn't something that I thought, or this is something that I expected to happen here with Biden going to Saudi to beg for oil, right? Joe Biden gets devastating news after a humiliating fist bump with the Saudi prince of MBS. Dude he does have no idea where he's at, man. He's just there. So anyway, just quick synopsis for everybody. President Joe Biden's request for the Saudi Crown Prince to significantly increase oil production in order to bring down global prices is apparently falling on deaf ears. Prince Mohammed bin Salman, also known as MBS. That's pretty cool. Have your own initials there.
Hell yeah, dude.
All
MBS
names like a serial killer.
MBS is tight, dude. And I like how they put it. It's an ingratiating request. Joe Biden just comes over there. He's like, I got the crown on. I'm King Pampers. You're going to get me the oil. And of course they're laughing at him going, here's your fist bump. And he thinks it's ice cream, like they're doing a falafel trick. And he just keeps reaching for the other side of their fist. No, but he doesn't get the oil at the end of the day. Nope. And it's only as if we do not have a country under our feet that is lush with oil reserves that we could just start getting at right now.
Yeah, can we find oil somewhere? If we could only get some oil, man.
I kind of wanted this deal to go through because I wanted to see if the left would praise Biden for bowing to the guy who killed Khashoggi, right? Not only that, but then to have to explain to me how oil is so much better shipped across the ocean on giant barges where they use so much fossil fuels to get here than to come through a pipe, which is, how a vacuum works essentially. It doesn't use oil to move it doesn't use fossil fuels to move the oil through the pipe, right? Like how somehow that's so much better for the environment that we ship oil across from the Middle East to America than to drill it here. They've never made the argument, but yet they'll do it because they don't have to look at it. It's like the left is like a bunch of ostriches with their heads stuck in the sand. As long as they don't have to see where the oil comes from, if they don't have to see how the baby's made, right? They don't want to see the ultrasound.
Oh, the left wants to watch babies get made. They want to watch them also then get destroyed a few months later. What it is they want to have the iPhone and they don't want to know about the slave child making it or farming the nickel out of the ground. They want to wear the Nikes. They don't want to see the little Indian girl going blind, stitching them together. They want to have the car and they want to drive the Tesla. They don't want to know about the mining operation that it comes out of. And they're okay with Biden buying oil if it means the world continues to run. They just don't want to have America be the one responsible for creating that oil in the first place. But I think it goes even deeper than that. The Democratic leadership, I should say, knows that. They know that their base will virtue signal anything that they're told is good. So why not just tell them the things that will make us rich are the good things? Why not just say, shut down American oil, and then we can use American dollars to buy foreign oil? That can, ingratiate everyone. So the article is correct to say Biden's request is ingratiating. He goes over, he says, you can get oil, you can sell it to us cheaply, you can make it easier while we still do not create more oil in our country. It makes no sense to anyone, and he knows it, we know it, everyone knows it. That's psychopathic behavior. And he's doing it because he knows he'll get away with it because his base doesn't see it and they don't care.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've already started bringing up the fact that it's Trump's fault that they're not producing more oil because he had them bring their oil production down lower. Well, if I recall correctly, the United States was actually, we were producing enough of our own oil and energy to actually have a surplus and to sell it to other countries.
Who was it that just posted this? It was on Twitter. They said, it might have been one of you. They said MSNBC, if you look at their YouTube, has 8 videos in the last however long about Trump, 0 about Biden.
Well, it's just what happened this week, like with Hunter Biden, right? Like all this stuff comes out, you couldn't find a single article about the leaks on any mainstream source. But as soon as Jill Biden goes out there and makes a fool of herself, saying some dumb stuff about tacos, MSNBC is covering it and everybody's covering it because it's funny and at least it takes the eyes off of the real problems. That's what they do with all of this stuff.
We have a super chat from Rumble from Lizzie Longtoes, says, been trying to catch a live show. Who should we support? Have we figured out who you are going, or who are the true America First candidates? Anybody come to mind? I know Kelly Shabaka in Alaska is one to watch. Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania is one to watch.
Let's see here. Who else do we have? Oh, Blake Masters over in Arizona.
Blake Masters, okay.
And Carrie Lake.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys what you think about Carrie Lake. I've heard a lot of conflicting stuff about her. I love what she's saying, but like, what do you guys think of her?
To be honest, I don't know a whole lot about her outside of some of the praises that some of the people I follow have given her. So to give you a good breakdown, I wouldn't be able to from just based off of what I've heard.
I sincerely really want to be wrong about this because when I first started seeing stuff about her, I was like, oh my gosh, this woman, like her diss on the CNN crowd, the way she handled Brett Baer, like I loved it. I was all about it. But then I started thinking to myself when I started doing a little bit of research, I'm like, is this another getting her in front of a camera so we can have another Dan Crenshaw moment? Because the more I look back to the SNL thing with Dan Crenshaw, the more it felt like a setup. You know what I mean?
When I watched Dan Crenshaw go on SNL and give them a bigger man kind of like, it's okay, it's funny, I can take a joke, that kind of thing. Right. I thought, and I think I made a video at that point, I was like, look at us being the bigger men. We're better than, taking it personally, blah, blah, blah. Totally was sucked into thinking.
I was sucked into
that virtue signaling of, look at us, we can take a joke, even when it's, below the belt. Right. I think this is kind of a difference here where Carrie Lake, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. I've spoken with some of her people. I'm trying to get her availability and her schedule. But even just having communicated with them and having been invited to watch some of her live streams where she does Q&As, it seems like she's an authentic and genuine person. Either she is the single best and most groomed and qualified by the news standards candidate to run, or it's not talking points. She really does believe what she's saying. And it's just simply that she's a smart lady who got sucked into this Obama era hope and change. She admits it openly. She's like, yeah, I got sucked in. And when I saw what I was sucked into, I was angry. And I've been hearing this for like half a decade now, that the most angry people you're going to find are not the people who are on the right, who are consistently seeing their, way of life be torn asunder. It's going to be the people who were tricked on the left, who didn't know they were signing up on the wrong side, who were going to flip and go, you know what? The conservatives are right, or the America First people are right. And they're going to be angry that they were tricked. They're going to be angry that they were duped. And that's Carrie Lake. She said she's angry that she voted for Obama and then watched what happened. She's angry that she's seen firsthand what the news has done to smear good people who she grew up around in Wisconsin. Now she goes to Arizona and sees how they talk about people across the country. Not to, stump for Carrie Lake, but I guess here I am saying I like her. She sold me so far.
I'm going to agree with you for one other reason, because if it was all attacks coming from the left and people like Fox News were propping her up, I would be a lot more suspicious, because again, going back to the Dan Crenshaw thing, were people really that offended? Like, I was not actually offended when Pete Wentz or whatever, or not Pete Wentz. What the heck's his name from SNL?
Pete Wentz is offensive, and
yes,
I would never go see him in concert ever.
That skinny douchebag that's
Pete Davidson. SNL said
when
that someone
when he said he looked like a hitman from a porno movie. I thought it was actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought it was funny. There was the Fox News crowd that was kind of ginning people up for the right to get all super offended about this thing.
It was the boomer crowd.
Then what? Yeah, it was the boomer crowd. Right? They made this. They told you be offended that Pete Davidson said a kind of funny thing about a Republican one time because he's a war hero. So you can't make jokes about him. I thought it was stupid. I never liked that thing. So like when you saw Fox News like creating this scenario where you could get this rhino in there, it doesn't surprise me to look back and see that. But now with Carrie Lake, you've got Brett Baer come out and attack her for the same stuff that I was just saying, which which actually leads me to think you're right about her. She is someone who's changed. And I think a lot like Trump, like people had those concerns about Trump as well. And you had to come down to whether you believe that Trump actually had a change of heart and whether he was going to govern conservatively. And he did.
This is why I think Carrie.
Real quick, thanks to Lopez Cuba here for the $10 super chat, and we also had one from Joseph Rivera. Thanks.
I will say this about Carrie: what I like about her, and maybe it's just a couple clips that I've seen of her, but it's you look at Dan Crenshaw, you look at some others who have tricked the voter enough to get in and then to get reelected. You see some of them who take the attack and then they do it with grace and with class, and they know how to respond. And so then we go, oh, wow, that was nice. That was classy. And he responded well. So then we give him a pass. Carrie does an above and beyond. She takes a swing back. So when someone wants to take a setup question, she goes, that's interesting. And why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about 2,000 Mules? Why don't you do that? And so
I'll do the interview if it's on CNN Plus.
Right. Yeah. She knows how to have fun, and she makes a meme out of it, and she has a fun time with it. She knows that this is how to win is to be authentic and original and genuine and yourself. And I think that's what she's trying to do. Whether or not that actually is her, that's just how I'm reading it.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like her so far. It seems like there was one other from Arizona that I liked, and I'm blanking on the name right now. Not for governor, but for AG, I think.
I'll point out too, D Wild on Rumble makes a good point. Carrie Lake has the guts to openly embrace Trump and question the 2020 election, risky and therefore courageous. You do have a lot of people who would run in an election right now, who would run for office and not mention the election. They just say, we've got problems and we've got to solve them, because everyone can associate that with whatever they believe the problem to be.
Right.
She's the one calling it as it really is. Lizzie Longtoes had asked in Michigan specifically, PJ, you and I are both in the Mitten state. Is there anyone here that you've decided you're going to back?
I am still agnostic on it right now. What about you? There's two that I'm looking at, and one of them I'm not sure how authentic I feel he is. I met Ryan Kelly before. I'm not entirely sold on him. So
love to get him on the show if we can do that.
I'm trying. Yeah, I would like to talk to him, but what about you right now?
The one and only person that I know for sure I like and will vote for, at least for the moment, is Matt DePerno, the AG candidate. What I was thinking. I think that he is by far, he's the most practically capable, right? He's the attorney. He's the constitutional attorney out of Kalamazoo, helped fight.
And he's leading right now, isn't he?
By 100%, I'm sure. Not by 100%. I'm saying I'm 100% confident he is leading. It's a stupid way to say that.
That's definitely who I'm leaning towards. I liked Ryan Kelly early on, but
DePerno's running for AG, so he'll be running for the attorney general's position because he wants to sue all of the people who have ruined our state. He got he got popular in 2020 doing all of these stop the shutdown rallies, like when in April and May at the Capitol in Michigan, where Steven Crowder and some other people came to speak. DePerno was one of the people there. And now he's been one of the people fighting, for Stop the Steal and for others. So he has been, consistent. People should check out Matt DePerno if they do not know. So in Michigan, Lizzie Longtoes, there's your answer. In Michigan, I like Matt DePerno, and others you'll have to just check out. I don't know.
Yeah. What happened to Frank?
Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I don't know. Frank, maybe he had an accident.
All right. Well,
he had a Biden moment.
If Frank is having himself a Biden moment, I got a story we could pull up. So you had talking about voting and stuff like that, or not voting, talking about well, let's bring this article up. You had brought up something about the reproductive rights from Virginia. Pretty funny article on Twitter. So Frank's back.
I am sorry.
If you have that, you can pull it up there.
I'll pull it up.
One of the funnier things that I'd seen in the last couple of days.
I thought this would be a pretty funny thing to move towards for a second. So let me see. I've got it right here. So from reproductive rights rising in Virginia, it says it's time to update our protest signs. We know it isn't easy, but we're going to explain a few key messages that will make signs more effective and inclusive for your next protest. So I love how the left is trying to police their own language in some pretty ridiculous ways here. What's the first one? Sorry, I made that too big. Use gender inclusive language as their first one. It's exclusionary to only center cisgender women in pro-abortion messaging. Not all people who can get pregnant identify as women. It's an easy fix. Just put people instead of women. So like they literally have this whole thing with this thread where they have the X's on like, look, this is what you've been saying and this is what we've been supporting forever, but now we have to bend everything to make it gender inclusive. it's so weird that they're still like doing the women's right. I mean, it's essentially the same argument. It's the women's rights argument. Like we have our body, we can make the decision, but they're trying to make it all genders just to fit their narrative. It doesn't make any sense.
If you showed that poster to somebody in like the early 90s, they would be horrified because they would assume that abortion has become like in China, you're trying to go for one or the other. So like, I'm sure if you saw that sign on the right, safe and accessible abortions for all genders, do you mean that right now you can only get them for girls or you can only get them for boys? Like I would read that sign and go, I would assume you can, I mean, if an abortion is legal, then you can abort either male or female, but that is how bastardized the language has become, that they want it to be that confusing. So it's safe. It's not safe. Accessible. I mean, you argue that abortions for all genders. Well, now we're getting sillier than it is to commit infanticide to begin with.
Yeah. They changed the language, but they didn't change safe, which is so weird to me. You know, what's weird? I saw another article this week because now they're trying to defend the fact that they want to have at-home abortions. Or is that in this? Is that in this later?
It's in this, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, no, my first thought was that it was like a junior. You know, they would look to the future and be like, oh my gosh, they made a way for men to get pregnant.
Well, it gets better. So number two, if you can click that one. Number two, everyone deserves bodily autonomy. Yes, even you straight cisgender men.
I love how they talk down to us while advocating for us.
That's right.
Makes me feel good.
Well, no, this is about us. I just added the you because it's you. Yeah. They're saying, yeah, even those straight cisgender men advocating for forced vasectomies isn't the witty clapback you think it might be. In fact, supporting attacks on other people's bodies actually normalizes the same kind of control that we're fighting against. So it's like they have to have an awakening to, oh, you mean hypocrisy bad? Krang commit hypocrisy? Oh, and they don't have it any other way. So they have to have it explained like they're 5. Number 3.
I wonder how stupid people are going to feel, though, that rushed out to get a vasectomy to virtue signal, because you saw those videos, right? Like guys going,
they can be reversed,
oh, yeah, I rushed out and got a vasectomy because
it was up hundreds and hundreds of percent. I uploaded a video about there were doctors who had said we typically get 3 a weekend. Now we're getting, 30 in a weekend. Yeah. So unreal.
Hey, I'm all for liberal men getting vasectomies. I'm okay with that.
I want to know where the donation link is, to be honest.
I think it's
donate
all sad.
to them getting vasectomies?
Number 3 says, leave the coat hangers in your closet. Coat hanger imagery is outdated, harmful, and used to incite fear of self-managed abortions, otherwise referred to as SMA. We have abortion pills now. So, we're updated. It's like the Jetsons. You can just abort at home with no hangover, with no coat hanger or hangover at all. SMA, or self-managed abortions with abortion pills, they say again, safe and effective. And we should amplify this information instead of spreading fear. So again, don't use the coat hangers because those are scary, scary, scary. Instead, use this beautiful, nice, clean abortion pills, white on pink imagery.
They're destroying every single one of their arguments in this one image, though.
That's what I love.
The argument that shutting down Roe will end abortion, right? They're like, oh, we can do this at home. They're also shutting down the idea that abortion has to be after 10 or 14 weeks because abortion pills don't work after 10 or 14 weeks, if I'm correct on this. People were saying that in the comments.
They also are then, they're saying, by the way, these SMAs, they are safe. So, we're trying to leave the unsafe out of it. They're admitting then that
what
some of this
happened to the back alley abortion doctor argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does number 4 say?
Let me see. Number 4, illegal abortion does not mean unsafe abortion.
Here
we go. The back alley doctor thing and the vasectomy thing, the two things that were like so quick to rush on you. Now we can't do those. With increased accessibility of abortion pills and online education, people can safely have abortions at home. Again, increasing education about safety, self-managed abortions is more helpful than spreading fear. Yeah.
So the signs that say you can't ban abortion, you can only ban safe abortion, that's actually wrong. And doesn't that kind of undermine their entire argument? Because they say, in Ohio, if you ban abortion, then it's unsafe and people have to, go across state lines, and it becomes this whole crazy argument. And we can see they are undermining that by saying, actually, that's not very accurate or inclusive.
Well, also, I feel like it's probably easier for them to set up the temple shrines and the candles and pentagrams at their home when they're sacrificing their children than it is at a doctor's office. So I imagine they would prefer this. Yeah. So number 5, you can't. This is my favorite one by far.
This is the Handmaid Tale.
This is where I'm going to agree with them 100% for one time. Well, not 100%. Number 5, you can't wear people's real oppression as a costume. Throw away the red cloaks. Handmaid's Tale references turn a blind eye to the centuries of oppression of people of color, specifically Black, Brown, Indigenous women have faced regarding their reproductive rights. I just want to say I'm going to agree that I really want to see the Handmaid's Tale outfits go away. But my favorite line, as Tom pointed out earlier, is it says, you can't wear people's real oppression. These people are so bought into this terrible Hulu show that they don't know it's fiction.
Yeah, they think it's historically accurate. They're white actresses now, but they're representing, a fictional reality where, people were enslaved. And in real life, the people who were slaves were Black and brown women. That's their whole argument, is it's going to be, well, really in real life, people are oppressed. Like Thomas Jefferson's slaves were oppressed into having children of his. So they would be the handmaidens. And so you can't wear a handmaiden's get up, a costume, because it's making light of real slavery. This is their actual argument. This sounds like parody, but it's really them.
Also, aren't they the ones that didn't want to equate anything about slavery and abortion?
Yes, they were.
I'm just saying they equated it backwards, like the story with AOC we'll get to in a minute. But like they don't want to equate the idea that making people not people, saying that this person doesn't have rights because they're just property, they're mine. They never want to compare abortion to slavery until they do, and they don't even realize it. Yeah.
The last piece there that they follow up with, I think, is just as good. Not all messaging is outdated. Slogans that center healthcare, human rights, and bodily autonomy are still powerful lines for signs. We just ask that you be intentional and inclusive with whatever sign you choose to make, with a purple heart. So they're saying that as you can't be male, you can't be female, you can't discriminate based on sex or gender. It just needs to be about killing babies. That's all it is.
That's all it's about. Yep. Frank's just dumbstruck at this.
Speechless.
I think we all are. It's so stupid.
It is.
I like seeing the left eat their own a little bit, though. It is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's my favorite hobby.
This one real quick, because we were talking about it right before I had to get off the air for a second there. But
yeah, where did you go? Did the pizza guy show up?
I wish, man. That would be awesome if I had a pizza place that delivered around here.
Domino's.
I have to do all mine like in the oven. I live too far away from all the other places, so my go-to is either DiGiorno or Red Baron Pizza. So those are the two things that if I want home pizza, that's what it is, or homemade. Sometimes
talk about a throwback to slave days, having to make your own pizza. My gosh.
I know, no kidding, man.
Seriously,
you are truly oppressed, Frank.
I am.
I thought you had kids, Frank. Aren't they old enough to make dinner?
Yeah, being a fully adult taco, it is very hard to get pizza around where I'm at. I have to make it myself.
So can I stop calling you Latinx now and just call you a breakfast taco American? That's the question I've been meaning to ask all night.
I was calling him a burrito boy, but I didn't get permission.
Oh, goodness. Well, we for all of you guys that have been following the whole Hunter Biden leak and the Pedo Pete,
yeah,
right.
I think.
Everyone presumed that was Biden, like Joe Biden.
Well, I'd even said part of the reason that we see him sending links to Pornhub or sending different images to his dad, and people were all wondering, why is he sending things to his dad? We also heard that Hunter, was sharing accounts, phone numbers, etc.,
right,
devices, and other things, bank accounts with his dad. So my thought was maybe we're looking at this as Hunter sending a Pornhub link to his dad, and in reality, he's sending it to himself, but they were sharing a phone later, so now we're reading it the wrong way. Because I've sent links and images and memes and things to myself if I want to save it, but I'm not at a computer, I'm on a phone. I might text it to myself. If Hunter has a way to save his own porn on his own Pornhub account, but he doesn't want to have it get lost into the internet, he wants to make sure he can save it, he might text it to himself. And now we look at it and go, he sent it to his dad. And in reality, we find out it's not even his dad.
Yeah. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to Ocean Breeze Salty over here. She says, I am your DiGiorno gal, Frank, LOL. Thank you for the love. She sends me the super chats for the DiGiornos when we go live from time to time. And I do appreciate that because I am going to buy DiGiorno now.
That's so nice of her.
And thank you to Joseph.
I think they owe us some money for advertisement because now I want some DiGiorno.
Everybody's going to have their smartphones giving them advertisements for DiGiorno's now.
Yeah, it's not a sponsor. Sure. It's not a sponsor. It's a super chat. It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joseph. And yes, breakfast tacos unite for sure.
Sure. I'm still confused by this story a little bit because it says that now they're saying it was, Natalie Biden.
So we'll go down.
So that begs the question. So that I kind of guess begs the question. Did he send this not to himself and not to Joe, but did he send a Pornhub link to Natalie?
Yeah. So it says here, it says Hunter Biden's phone contact, Peter, say that like 5 times fast, man, found on his iCloud. I can't say
Pedo Peter.
Account is not associated with President Joe Biden as earlier believed. It's actually connected with 17-year-old Natalie Biden, the daughter of late Beau Biden, and his widow, Haley Biden, according to forensic analysis performed by Breitbart News. That is even more disturbing because she's 17.
Well, that's not even the most disturbing part. Like, I don't know if people have, and I'm not encouraging you to actually look into the 4chan leaks as I have. It is
HunterBidenLaptop.com. For anyone that's looking, it's HunterBidenLaptop.com.
Yeah, you can also use Telegram to find this stuff.
From that stuff.
If you use if you look up Hunter Biden on Telegram, you'll find a lot of stuff. But like, you'll see a lot of pictures of Natalie that with coke on her nose, very scantily dressed, very weird relationship to have. Not like people are always ripping on him for the weird relationship he had with his dead brother's wife, which is bad enough. But to have weird coke fueled sexual relations with your dead brother's wife's daughter, who's a minor. This should be like literally the biggest story. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so you can tell how in bed the media, including Fox News, is on this. Because
you want to know how in bed. Frankly, I'd like to know how
literally
in bed they are.
Sometimes literally the actual bed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I did a story not too long ago talking about how the Biden administration has been feeding Fox News stories for them to get more positive coverage on their network or on their websites. This is something that's been going on now for a while. If we even go back to the Biden administration early on on the onset of 2021, where they were sending money to all the media companies to push the vaccine on their show. So this is something that I would not surprise me at all that they would actively cover for this administration by showing you a video of AOC versus what's going on over here, which I think PJ is going to dive into.
Yeah, if you want proof that Fox News or any of these places are controlled opposition, all you have to look at is when you say they're the right-wing media, the left attacks them as being, they're the conservative news source or the right-wing news source, then why is that every time an absolutely damning story that comes out about Biden or the Democrats does not get covered? And I don't mean covered lightly. I mean, does not get covered. Go back a few days.
Look
at when the Hunter Biden leaks came out, and they were all over Twitter, they're all over everywhere, they're all over Telegram and 4chan and Reddit. Find me one Fox News article that's critical of this. And then go to the next day and tell me how many Fox News articles are running cover for Hunter Biden by saying, oh, look, Joe Biden said something silly. Like, nobody actually thought she was being racist. Everybody thinks she's stupid. And It's a great laugh. I'm making fun of it myself, obviously. The bigger story here is Hunter Biden. And I'm not saying the Jill Biden thing was a setup to get herself made fun of to cover for the Biden crime family.
It just happened.
But the media definitely took opportunity of it.
Yeah.
Well, if someone presents you 10 options, like, the dessert guy comes around and says, can I tempt you? And he's got 10 things on a tray. They don't want to give you the richest, most, awful, decadent thing, because that's the, child pornography and the international business dealings and the treason. They want to say, look at what he called his stepmom. He called her a bad word. He called her the forbidden C word, or he said she's a moron. And then they're all like so it becomes like a dramatic little he said, she said, instead of he did, she did. And it kind of needs to be that. And so we're not looking at, the big thing, because they want you to see that little piece. They're going to give you a taste and then no more. Fox is a controlled opposition.
And that's what happened with the AOC story. It was basically a non-story. I was talking to another gentleman off air earlier this week.
You're not allowed to talk to other people, Frank. It's just us.
I know. Sorry. And he said it was the dumbest thing. I said, well, it was the dumb thing. It was funny. I said, but the only reason it got any type of traction was because AOC decided to talk about that. If she had not talked about it, it would not have been as big as it became. It would have been us laughing about it because it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But that's all it would have been. But then she decided to go ahead and open her mouth, and it led to a lot more other stuff that I think PJ wanted to talk about.
Wait, are you talking about the AOC getting heckled by
Alex Stein?
Alex Stein?
Yeah.
That's not actually the story
Alex
I was
Stein?
going to bring up, but that was funny. I saw I saw a lot of people.
Big booty Latina.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I didn't pull that up.
Taco, tamale, or whatever he said.
No, actually, that does lead into the point I was going to make, though, is it's funny because just a day or two prior to the Alex Stein video, which was funny. I'm not going to like feel bad for AOC. I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, we shouldn't sexually harass AOC. And I'm like, well, first of all, Alex Stein isn't really a conservative. So saying it's coming from the conservative side isn't entirely true. But I do find Alex Stein funny. And I do like a lot of what he's doing. But it covered up something even bigger that she said, which again goes to my point. Is like a lot of people aren't talking about the one thing AOC said that was actually relevant to politics and relevant to something real. It was some fake scandal about somebody saying she had a big booty, which is funny, like the Jill Biden thing. But I want to play the video that I think that people. Oh shoot! It's people should be.
I thought it was interesting while you pull that up.
Yeah.
While you pull that up, while she posts about Alex Stein making a silly comment, and the comment was to highlight the fact that she thinks everyone who is critical of her can just be brushed away and stiff-armed by the accusation of them wanting to date her. And so he had said, I'm going to go, and instead of heckling her, calling her a B or a C, because he's on Marjorie Taylor Greene's program, and she says to him, Alex, they do this to us all the time. There's always people heckling, and no one's ever there to protect. And so he goes, well, I'll go, but I'm not going to heckle in a rude and mean and aggressive way. I'll go and make her think I love her. I'll go and make her think that I'm there to support her, but I'll be so obnoxious that she now sees the hyperbole of it. So that's his culture jamming method, is he wants to take something that's like ridiculous and jam it. And so he's in her face saying, I love you. Yeah, you want to kill babies, but you're so sexy. You're so sweet. You got a sweet big old Latina booty. Look at your big, and so that's the silliness of it, is that he doesn't mean that. And then he goes, objectively, she's attractive, but, I just wanted to make sure that she knew I liked her. She goes in the video that he's taking and says, let's go take a selfie. And she's trying to belittle and play it off like she doesn't care.
Yep.
She takes his video showing that she wants to get a selfie. She does this and then runs up the stairs. She posts this and says, I ran over to deck him. No, you didn't.
Right.
No.
I ran over to deck him because police wouldn't protect us. So I had to protect myself. I'm paraphrasing, but she says, no one would protect us. So I had to. So I felt I needed to go and deck him. But I had a vote to catch up with and not a case to catch. Like she would get charged for punching Alex Stein. So then she goes and makes this video complaining about how the police at the Capitol are not to be trusted. And maybe that's where you wanted to play the video, because that was the video that I was thinking you were going to.
Yeah, it is. So, but I want to say this too. People are forgetting the one line in that video that actually made any difference, which was the part where he goes,
Big
yeah,
booty
she's
Latina.
sexy, she wants to kill babies. Like, that's
right.
the point is he's making is like, yeah, people like AOC because she's pretty, and people, I'm not going to pretend like she's not attractive, but that's the only thing about her. She wants to kill kids, right? But yeah, she says she can't trust the Capitol Police, and that is the story that I think people are missing. And it leads into another one about Ray Epps that I want to get to, but I want to play this clip really quick.
Go ahead. Like Antifa?
And that there were actual officers working with this, and we never got to the bottom of that, and we never got any answers about that. And then to this day, we're just supposed to pretend that that never happened.
What about Antifa?
I have no idea what happened to the people on the inside who were very clearly sympathetic with what was going on and opening the doors wide open for that. And I'm supposed to sit here and pretend like none of that ever happened. And then right afterwards, you have a massive, you just have this idea that throwing money at that problem is going to make it go away without any accountability. And so this is where these things are breaking down. We're not safe. And it's not just about members of Congress not being safe. The food staff workers aren't safe. The janitors aren't safe. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, so what she's saying essentially is that we need to get to the bottom of why the people were let into the Capitol building. It's weird that the Democrats don't want us talking about this. And she's so naive that she doesn't get the point. Like, she doesn't get that this is actually a right-wing talking point and has been for a long time. And the reason the left doesn't want you to talk about it is because they were let into the Capitol for a very specific reason. And it has nothing to do with them being sympathetic. The people who shot Ashley Babbitt are not being sympathetic to there we go. You can't tell me AOC's not attractive. Like, I've heard a lot of people trying to say that, but come on.
You're telling me that this person doesn't get it? I don't believe it. You're telling me that she might not understand what's going on? I don't buy it for a second. No, Alex Stein said she's objectively, he said she's attractive. So that's why it works, because the people have said you could put a tuna sandwich on a stool in a debate, but so long as it's a Democrat, it will get elected in her district in New York. You could elect anyone. So it was about a primary win, and they had some social media push that got her on the ballot instead of the other guy who was the incumbent. Yeah, that's the only reason that she sits there. Right. So the fact that she's now questioning this for the Pelosiites, for the Uniparty, they've told her, you are taking into question your what am I trying to say? They told her you are calling into question the credibility of public safety when you question the police officers, which just opens up a can of worms. Why are 5 of them dead by suicide last year this time?
Well, I like it when she starts asking the questions like, why did Nancy Pelosi refuse to have extra National Guard come, or extra police or National Guard come in to protect the Capitol? And what happened to the bombs that were placed at the DNC and the RNC that morning? We've got cameras everywhere, and we've got cell phones that were tracking people somehow before they even got to the Capitol. They knew to track certain people. Right?
Yeah, I think they weren't real.
All of this. Yeah.
I just think it wasn't real. I just think they weren't real. I think those bombs, they said like, hey, we found bombs. And we were like, wow, we're going to investigate. And they were like, oh, wait, I thought we could just say stuff today.
Yeah. Right. But that's the thing is like whether they were real or not, that's a story we should know. If they were fake and they were making stuff up, that's a damning story. Well, if they were real, we need to know who put them there.
That, or I guess the other, it could be, sorry, Frank, it could be like 50% that, or it could be that they were real, that they were waiting for the go ahead to get detonated. For whatever reason, they didn't get detonated, and now they have to walk it back like they weren't as big a threat, because otherwise, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I want to know whether or not Liz Cheney is going to be calling AOC to be as a witness. And not only that, now does this give the people who are sitting in those January 6 cells, is that enough ammo to be presented in their cases? Look, this is what one of the reps is talking about now on the Democratic side.
Well, exactly, because she's admitting that these people were allowed into the Capitol, and you're charging them for breaking and entering. You're charging them for being in a place they can't be when the police are letting them in. And then on the other hand, you've got this whole Ray Epps thing, which is coming out. The New York Times is praising this guy. Oh,
do you mean the victim of conspiracy theories, Ray Epps?
The victim of conspiracy theories. We've got we've got real victims on January 6th, like Ashley Babbitt. We've got people who've been placed in gulags thanks to Obama-era executive order that allowed them to create these gulag-type prisons that nobody's talking about, by the way, which I find interesting. And then
Ray Epps is in Sri Lanka saying, we got to get to the Capitol. We got to get in there.
Yeah. Well, let me play the video if people aren't familiar with Ray Epps really quick, and then I want to show you guys or read some of this New York Times. Do I have this still pulled up? All right, yeah. So I want to show this, and then I'll tell you what New York Times is saying about this guy.
In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested. Well, let's not say it. We need to go. I'll say it. All right.
I don't want to say it because I'll be arrested. Oh, then don't say it. Oh, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say
it.
Like,
in
to
the Capitol. Let's go!
These are all, by the way, from the night before.
Yeah,
this is January 5th.
Correct.
Yeah.
Put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Peacefully. Fed.
I'm with them.
Yeah.
All right, now the next day, January 6th, still saying the same thing.
I'm trying to remember if I saw him there, because I was there.
Yeah, sorry. Say that again, Frank.
I said I'm trying to remember if I even saw him there when I was there on January 6th.
Dude, I remember watching live streams on the 5th. I remember watching that night and watching live streams out in front of different hotels. And I remember, I remember seeing him shouting. So it was like people had known that people were around yelling and that there was, maybe something not to be trusted. I considered going, and for that reason said, I don't know if I should go, because if there are some weird false flags, and I'm a big conspiracy guy, so if there were any kind of false flags, I'm like, that's going to be the day.
That is literally the reason
that they're going to plan for it.
That's literally the reason I didn't go, is I just had this bad feeling for whenever it was announced. I was like, man, if anything's going to get infiltrated by the feds, it's going to be this. And
I was pissed off enough. I would have probably been the one, running through the doors of the statuary.
Yeah,
hall.
I'm not gonna lie. I probably would have too if I was there. But like, I'm like, I can't. Yeah. So like, here's
we'll get
right
charged
at the
eventually
barricades.
for admitting that.
Sorry, say that again.
I said we're gonna get charged for admitting we would have done it had we been there.
Yeah, pre-crime. Yeah,
It's a thought crime. You thought
look
about
at
it?
this. Ray Epps is literally whispering into the ears of these guys right at the Capitol barricades, and look what happens right after this. The first the barricade that came down. Ray Epps is there.
You want to know what he said to
push
him?
it over, and that's when all this started. So how is that this guy, of everybody there, people who were not even at the Capitol grounds, people were just in DC who had the wrong things on their social media profiles, were arrested, were arraigned. They have waited on some people 16, 17, 18 months to go and SWAT their house because they heard a voice on a video that sounded maybe like theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the New York Times writes an article and quote, it says, Ray Epps has suffered enormously in the past 10 months as right-wing media figures and Republican politicians have baselessly described him as a covert government agent who helped to incite the attacks on the Capitol last year. So not only are they defending a guy who New York Times, who has said everybody that was there needs to be in prison, needs to be in these gulags. We need these huge January 6 hearings where we bring out Cassidy Hutchins and make up fantastic tales about Trump taking
That would be
over
a
a
cool
limo.
comic book, though.
Yeah,
it's
it
called
would be.
Super Trump. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
Super Trump. My arms are really long. Go right through the limo.
Yeah. So it's just like the more the lady doth protest too much in this case. Like the more you try to say, hey, the one guy who was there inciting the violence and inciting the barricades coming down and was there when the barricades came down and said the night before we should go into the building, and how we've been trying to say it was planned because some guy had a Lego set in his living room. Right? Remember that one?
I do.
Like they wanted to arrest that guy, but
You
this
see
guy,
that?
they're like, oh, he's a poor put upon guy because people think he
do.
might be a Fed.
See, this is why I'm glad I didn't go, because if I had gone to January 6th, they would have come crashing through my door going, not only does he have a model in Legos of the White House, but he also has the lunar lander. He might have been going to the Smithsonian later to go attack the shuttle that's over there. Good Lord. But, so what was I going to say? So when he's whispering into that guy's ear, that guy who has been arrested, who has been charged, is in not an affidavit, but he's given a court testimony. He's given his statement saying that Ray Epps told him, be nice to the police. They're just doing their jobs. That's what he swears. So when they say under penalty of perjury, what did that man tell you in your ear? He swears that Ray Epps just told him, be nice to the police because they're just doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, let me show
And
you.
depending on what you take in that, you can either think, well, yeah, I mean, cops just doing their jobs, or you can take it from Ray Epps knowing that there are some cops there to do their job. Wink, wink. Like, don't attack the police. They're going to let you in. And so
Right.
why would he know the police are going to be passive? Why would Ray Epps say, don't attack the cops, just push past them? It's like Ray Epps knew something more than you did.
This guy right here, his name's Luke Robinson, the guy in the red there. He was at the Capitol. He was armed, and he was on the FBI list. And all of a sudden, mysteriously, he was vanished off the FBI's most wanted list, along with Ray Epps at the same time. And this gentleman here, the JFK report, confronted him about it. And I don't know if you guys have seen this video or not. I've seen it for a few different times, but this just kind of adds to what we're talking about. So let's take a listen to this real quick.
Ray Epps? No. Because we knew you were at the Capitol, and we weren't sure if
You had an earpiece and a firearm, man. You had a firearm on federal property. That's serious stuff. I got charged with a misdemeanor for parading a picket, and that's a firearm, man. And I met you 10 days after the FBI came to my house on April 3rd. Okay. I mean, what's going on, man? All right, yeah.
what's with the earpiece at the Capitol? Who were you talking to?
I'll see you guys later.
Who were you talking to,
Do you
though?
actually want to buy this bike or not?
No, thank you. Who were you talking to at the Capitol of the earpiece?
See you guys later.
Hey, man, we're just trying to figure out what's going on. Luke Robinson, number 343, removed from the FBI wanted list. 10 days after the FBI came to my house, I met Luke on April 3rd, 2021. And 2 weeks ago, I found out Luke Robinson was removed from 343 on the FBI most wanted list. And he's a nice guy. We just want to know what's going on. He had a firearm on him on federal property and an earpiece, and he was removed from the Capitol. We don't know what's going on, brother, but we just want to figure it out. Hey man, if you're in serious stuff, you got to get a lawyer. You need to figure it out, man. This is we want you to be safe. I know who you are.
Are you cooperating with the FBI?
I just don't really want to talk.
Why'd they remove you from the list?
I'm good.
They've only removed 3 names.
Go on what?
I'll see you guys later.
They've only
How much-
removed 3 names from the FBI list. We're not sure why they removed you, why they removed Ray Epps.
How much you want to bet he's on another
We're praying
list?
for you, Luke.
Yeah.
We're praying for you.
Because I think the FBI uses these criminals, known or unknown to us. The FBI knows who the criminals are. The FBI knows who's downloading child porn. The FBI knows who are making these weird claims to child abuse online. I think the FBI knows how to leverage someone, how to twist an arm, how to flip someone. And I wouldn't put it past the current FBI under Christopher Wray to lean on some of these people to become informants. So when he's asked, "Are you working with the FBI?" and he goes, "I really don't want to answer. I think we got our answer."
Yeah. Anytime somebody answers a question as basic as that is, I don't want to answer.
That
is an answer. And I got to say, the only shocking part about that video was the fact that he had a 2-seater bicycle. Like, where do you find those?
Well, because, the kids that he's into don't fit in the basket.
That's right. There we go.
Or that, or him and Ray Epps shared the bicycle. Never know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, Ray Epps has a really
With the
nice golf
seats
cart
removed,
and
though.
a bunch of
Yeah.
acreage out in Arizona. He's now moving in. Ray Epps now lives in a mobile home at the foot of the Rockies. He and his wife had to move all their possessions into a mobile home. He's been harassed
And the
into
New York
hiding.
Times feels very bad for him.
Well, and
Very
I feel bad for him too, because of course he said to the FBI he did nothing wrong. Therefore, he didn't. 'Cause we
Whenever
believe them.
whenever the New York Times feels bad for somebody, that should be red flags right there.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like the New York Times, it's like if you were on the fence if Ray Epps was a Fed or not, the article should be perfect proof of like, yep, no, this guy's absolutely a Fed.
We have Lizzie Longtoes on Rumble sending a super chat saying, "Never Trumper, Michigan establishment cheater, Tudor Nixon for governor." The Gateway Pundit article has him pulled up here as a cheating Tudor Dixon. I haven't heard too much about Tudor Dixon. I don't know if I have an image of him. Let's pull that up.
Yeah. Well, while you pull that up, I wanted to also point out the fact that if you think that the New York Times or the FBI or the Capitol Police or the federal government just feels bad for certain people that were there, they don't feel bad enough to not put a 69-year-old cancer patient grandma in jail for trespassing on January 6th. Do I have
That
this?
happened yesterday.
Yes. So yeah, not 69-year-old cancer patient Graham to be jailed for January 6th trespassing. I think it's just for a month or so, but Ray Epps didn't get anything. And he's very clearly documented. So
And what did
they
she,
really
what was
do
she
not
put in
care.
for? Like parading as well?
Sorry, say that again.
Was she parading? Is that what they charged her with?
I think she just walked in like a lot of other people were let in. The thing that AOC is bringing up, like, hey, a lot of people are let in the building for some reason, and they're arresting those people too. So
You guys, I have a serious problem, and I got to show you this quickly because other people need to know. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see this? I think the Republican Rhino GOP found their own version of Whitmer in Tudor Dixon.
Is that
This
who that
lady
is?
here. Yes, sir. Tudor
Oh,
Dixon sitting down with the Capitol Rundown. She's going head to head, face to face, tit for tat with Kevin Reinke, the other leader here. Kevin Reinke at 13%, along with Garrett Soldano at 13%. Ryan Kelly was in second with 15%. Tudor Dixon, I'm going to forever get that wrong. 11%, closest competitor, Ryan Kelly. So for some reason, the establishment news and MLive and other local news is pushing this person who objectively, again, compared to the others, half of them are men, would be easy on the eyes. It would be an easy conservative can say, hey, I still voted for a woman, but it wasn't the nasty woman on the left. It's the nasty woman on the right. And I think that's what they're trying to do. It just looks to me like they're trying to push our version of Whitmer upon the people.
I mean, that's the problem with our state is even when we get a Republican, they're always not really Republican, at least in my lifetime, unless you can think of somebody different. But
Denise says that ain't easy on the eyes.
Well, I don't think
everything is
Whitmer-
relative. Everything is relative.
I've heard people say that Whitmer was sexy, and I don't get that at all.
No.
Well, that's what I'm
She
trying to
looks like-
explain.
she has
You know,
like
you got some of these guys, you got to
pound
realize
of
who are the
face.
men on the left married to? What are they
Right.
looking at every night? And then when they see this candidate on the news, they go, wow, she's gorgeous because she's, you know, above a 3.
above a 3.
Well, this is why I don't harp on Paul Pelosi all that bad. It's like I know who he has to drive home to. So if he does a little bit of drunk driving, it's like, you know, I get why they gave him a pass. You know, he probably wanted to be in jail though. He didn't have to go home.
He
To
didn't wanna
that.
go- Well, Nancy wasn't even home at the time, though. She was on the East Coast.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah. So
Still.
check this out real quick as we're transitioning here.
No, we're not transitioning. We got to find a new word. They've taken that. We're moving. We're moving somehow.
We're moving.
Frank wants to be a big booty Latina too.
I
Oh.
do. I want to be big booty taco or whatever. Tamale.
Fat Taco Frank.
Let
That's
him
what
live his
he-
dreams.
Don't judge me.
Oh no, I'm not judging. That was
There's a gender out there for me.
And you better not say he can't get an abortion. Damn it.
Oh, I would never.
So many of you guys know Bryson Gray. I know the two of you guys do. I know many of the audience does. Just watch an examiner over here. It says rapper slaps Biden family with a viral diss track. It says, let's see here. A rapper is going viral after he made a diss track targeting President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. He says, I made a song about Hunter Biden's iCloud getting hacked, Bryson Gray posted on Twitter with a video of him spitting bars and ripping the Biden family. Hunter's arguing with hookers while they're weighing crack, Gray raps. They'll call it a conspiracy, but I'm saying it's fact. So we can take a little listen.
Yeah,
to
we
this.
should listen to the entire thing.
All right. Let's take
It's
a
actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
All
really
right.
good.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
You know-
Let's do it.
They gon' hate me for this one. Hey, 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 you know what's really wild? Got your own son calling you a pedophile. Why you getting called that by your own child? It's a pedo Peter every time the phone down. Wow, Hunter arguing with hookers while he wearing crack. Whoa, they call it a conspiracy, but I'm saying facts. Whoa, in the mansion up in Cali, but who pay for that? Whoa, the media gon' cover it up like he ain't get hacked. Whoa. Here we go again. If it was Trump Jr., it would be on CNN. This what happens when you rip into a slate of sin. This what happens when the devil knock you let him in. Nah, I don't care about who this offends. Buying crime family, they all belong in a pen. Buying loves minors, that's the real BLM. Call me what you want, but at least I ain't a damn. Wait, hold up, don't get mad at me. Am I tripping or is he in bed with Natalie? Why he recording all that? What's the strategy? If you do incest, you probably do bestiality. Hey, the president's son is a crackhead, but you the smartest guy, he know that's what your dad said. Is he the real president or a jackleg? Why is everyone that voted for your dad dead? Hey, you know what's really wild? Got your own son calling you a pedophile. Why you getting called that by your own child? It's a pedo Peter every time the phone down. Wow, Hunter arguing with hookers while he wearing crack. Whoa, they call it a conspiracy, but I'm saying facts. Whoa, in the mansion up in Cali, but who pay for that? Whoa, the media gon' cover it up like he ain't get hacked. Whoa, all the women in your phone, can we check the age? Wasn't you on Epstein Island? Can we check the page? Hunter needs to be in prison, put him in a cage. I thought he was clean, seemed like he ain't changed his ways. And that ain't working for charisma, how he get a raise? 10% for the big guy, who all getting paid? I still don't know why he recorded, is it blackmail? But do you really think any of them will go to jail? They satanic and all of them will go to hell. You a lame Hunter and your daddy lame as well. It's obvious, but if you blind and read it in braille, will the corruption never end? Only time will tell. President's son is a crackhead, but you the smartest guy, he know that's what your dad said. Is he the real president or a jackleg? Why is everyone that voted for your dad dead? Hey, you know what's really wild? Got your own son calling you a pedophile. Why you getting called that by your own child? It's a pedo Peter every time the phone down. Wow, Hunter arguing with hookers while he wearing crack. Whoa, they call it a conspiracy, but I'm saying facts. Whoa, in the mansion up in Cali, but who pay for that? Whoa, the media gon' cover it up like he ain't get hacked. Whoa.
Worth it. Worth the entire thing.
It was worth it. The song hits the ladies.
PJ, you're muted, buddy. You're
You're
living in the Mutrix. PJ, you got to unmute.
Oh goodness, that was,
I was just gonna say, like, I'm not entirely sure how I felt about Bryson Gray's rap before that, but that was a bomb.
Hey, when you unmuted, I think it went back to your old mic.
it went back to the web mic.
I could be wrong, but I think it did.
It did.
Sorry, buddy. But I'm glad that we could catch it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're watching this right now, make sure you hit the like button no matter where you're watching. Hit the like, hit the plus, hit the fire. If you have not, consider sharing a link to the stream. Let people know. We still got another at least, 45 minutes, call it an hour.
Absolutely, yeah. Is my mic back to normal now?
So much better.
I don't sound like I'm underwater. All right. No, I was just saying, like, I'm not like that was by far his best rap for sure. I think it was. I you know how we say we have to, reframe the left's language. I'm going to start using BLM for Biden loves minors. I think that's a much better use of it. Yeah,
it is. Yep. I think
100%.
It is. Yeah, I'm working on getting Bryson to come on one of our Saturday shows here, so they'll be interested to have him here to talk about a lot of that stuff that's been going on. And if many of you guys might not know, he is on his second strike right now over on YouTube. So,
I know how that.
How did that happen? I can't imagine that happening to someone who says all the stuff that he just said.
It was for his pride video that he made.
Yeah,
I didn't even get a chance to see that one.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was awesome. He burnt the pride flag in it.
Oh, you know what? I did see that one. I'm not surprised they nuked him for that one.
I thought burning flags was freedom of speech.
No, if it was the Russian flag, he would have gotten an award.
Yeah.
Or the American flag, or Russian and American combined. It would have been, he would have been praised.
What's more offensive to the left right now, burning the pride flag or the Ukraine flag?
Oh, fuck. Oh, I mean, shoot.
I think the pride flag's still out.
I think so too. It definitely outdoes it, but I'm not convinced it outdoes it by much right now. It's weird how
find out. We should find out. We should each in our local city set up a camera, and then we'll each on a tripod burn 2 flags, and we'll see a response. We'll have a sample size of 3, and it will be considered one of the best and most accurate and fortified polls of all time.
I like it. I gotta say this though, you guys might not know this, but there was a joke. I covered this on on Broody and the Beast a few weeks ago. There was a joke flag where someone took the pride flag and added the blue and yellow into it, and it was for a Twitter joke, and people are like, "Oh, that was fake." Snopes debunked it and all that stuff. A week later, they actually made the flag. So there is now a pride flag with the blue and yellow to represent Ukraine.
When Snopes debunks something,
like the arrow or whatever on it.
Say what?
I'm
well,
sure
the first one was like an angular one. It looked like a shuffleboard or something. It was weird, but yeah, I don't know. The one after that looked a little bit more normal, but it all looks like a Cosby sweater at this point. Just like a printer just exploded. I don't know.
It does. That's what it looks like. It looks like one of those printer test pages, like when you put the ink cartridges in and it prints those lines.
Pretty much, yeah.
Unreal.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many colors they can add by next year, but I still propose that
depends
next
on how
year
many tragedies we can have.
Right. I'm just proposing that next year, because Roe v. Wade was overturned in
June.
They'll
get their own color. Do they have red in the color already? Right, they got red in there.
Yeah, so it's like a rainbow. It started off as just a rainbow with 6 colors instead of 7. You can infer from that what you will. And then they added the tranny colors, so blue and pink, and then they added brown and black for BLM, and now they added blue and yellow for Ukraine, and then there's a circle in there for something. I don't even know what. I don't know.
Yeah. Nope.
It's gonna represent so many things that it'll represent nothing, which basically is the left at this point.
Basically.
Good call.
Yeah.
Basically.
Talking about tranny stuff though, did you guys see that this Leah Thomas has now been nominated for the 2022 NCAA Woman of the Year award?
Yep. Unreal.
Yeah.
Right
Unreal. Every time that a Woman of the Year award becomes available in a division or a segment or an organization where there is a trans person, it's going to be that person getting nominated.
Well, I think it's even more than that. It's like as soon as someone becomes prominent as a tranny, that they're going to be pushed to be Woman of the Year because, women are so great that men are actually better at being women than women are. It's such a weird argument because there's this huge division between the LGBTQ IDGAF community and what they now call TERFs, the trans exclusionary radical feminists. So it's like on one hand, they want to still hold on to the women are great and wonderful and better than men in every single way thing, but also they're not because men can get pregnant. And we lost Frank again. He must be getting his DiGiorno on. Dang,
the doorbell rang.
Didn't include me. No, it's weird. It's like
you made that point. You said Caitlyn Jenner. It was
Caitlyn Jenner or Bruce Jenner, Richard Levine got a Woman of the Year award. There's been a couple more, but I know those two for sure. And the Bruce Jenner one was like at the beginning of all the like real hard push for. That's why it annoys me that people still try to claim that he's like a Republican or a conservative or something like that. Like the guy's done more damage to American politics than anybody else. And there were still people that were willing to vote for him because he put an R next to his name.
Yeah. And I don't know that it was ever all that real. I wonder if for the people that attacked UPenn and made UPenn an undesirable place, because I know the university saw a hit, like in the media, in public opinion, in polling on campus, in admissions. So even if you get a bump in trans people applying to your school, you get a huge drop in all the other kids, and that far outweighs the gain you got. I wonder if the school says, well, look, we already took a hit on this. We might as well get back in the news with a positive splash. We as a school are nominating this student. So I know the school has to decide which of their athletes they want to nominate for different awards. You know that someone at the very top of this school said, we've already taken the shrapnel. We've taken the damage for this. We have to get something out of it, even if it's just headlines about an award.
Well, there's two things going on here, though. There's the fact that they're all con artists, which is the number one thing you learn as a con artist is you die with the lie. So now that they've made the lie, now that they've held on to this, they have to die with it no matter how much it's hurting their school. And the other thing that I think that people aren't looking at enough, and this is why the BlackRock stuff is important, is the fact that, we want to keep looking at these stories of China. Oh, China's got a social credit system. America's got a social credit system. And I don't know how people don't understand what ESG is at this point, or why people aren't looking into this enough. It is absolutely a social credit system, because you've got these companies, just to explain it really quickly, you've got these companies like BlackRock and all these other places that have bought up massive amounts of everything, right? And they're government backed and government funded. And Nancy Pelosi went out there and said, well, they're too big to fail, so we're going to back them no matter what. They're buying up all your homes, all this stuff. And they are deciding that if you don't meet their environmental, social, and governance score, which is a credit score from them, from all these big groups, that they will refuse to lend you money and they will tank your stocks, right?
This is what Elon Musk got into it with them with Tesla, correct?
Yeah, he doesn't like it at all.
Yeah.
He said ESG is a cancer.
He's independently wealthy enough to go around it, but most places are not. Most people
but Tesla isn't him. Like he can be independently wealthy. Tesla's still getting raked on, I said it with a K, raked on these ESG scores. Like they're not, I don't want to get too into the weeds on something we're not talking about, but the ESG thing is not great.
It's interesting. We talked about Leah Thompson, or whatever.
William Thomas. Let's just call him for what he is.
Yeah. I was on my Facebook page earlier today. I had my memories, and it reminds you of all your cringy posts from decades ago. And I had one on there talking about Bruce Jenner when he was awarded the the Woman of the Year for ESPN. I was like, interesting. And I would just also like to point out the fact that I'm like the worst person to take to the pub, because once I break that seal, I'm gone every 10 minutes away. I pop back.
Is that what you're doing? You have to pee?
I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go pee.
We were thinking you were getting your DiGiorno on.
Okay.
No.
Frank, we're gonna get you figured out on a catheter, buddy. We're gonna get you a full setup, an Arizona tea canister under you. You're gonna be good to go.
I pop out, I come back in, and like the conversation has shifted to something else. I'm like, I have no idea what we're talking about anymore, but okay, let me jump in.
I'm two beers and a Red Bull deep, and I haven't had to run to the bathroom even once.
Yeah, the chat is saying the salt will flow, but it sounds like Frank's got a different issue with another flow. At least you don't have the prostate problem.
I was gonna say you might want to get checked for a prostate. Just make sure that the doctor doesn't keep both hands on your shoulder, and you're good. That's a bad sign. That's a bad proctologist.
It's a worse dentist, but
whoa.
Did you see the anesthesiologist in Brazil?
Wait, no, what's this about?
Oh my God, we can't show it on the stream because it's literally a man putting his member into an unconscious woman's mouth during surgery. And it's on Gab, it's on the internet, it's on Twitter, it's on other places, but an anesthesiologist is under investigation and has been fired pending whatever from this. I think it's in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. An anesthesiologist behind the curtain, he's fumbling around, and you can see through the glass he's been recorded by someone's phone. They've got him sticking his, again, erect member into, and it's awful. So if that just proves to me, like, you can never trust a doctor, don't trust a dentist, don't trust a physical therapist. I don't even really trust my chiropractor.
I do have.
There you go. He's got the Gatorade bottle.
It's my worst fear about peeing in a bottle is that you're going to run out of room.
Eventually, yeah.
It's funny to me, though, because for a long time, there have been those trusted institutions that you're not ever supposed to talk about. And the left has them and the right has them. And then there's the general ones in America. And I feel like the last few years have hopefully started to wake people up to, people are people. And just because they have a job doesn't mean that they're good. And actually, in some cases, because they have that job, they have the ability to be a little bit more, they can get away with a little bit more, and they're trusted a little bit too much. And I think the right was wrong, a little bit wrong. I'm not saying I support BLM or the defund the police stuff, but the right was a little bit wrong to do this, like Blue Lives Matter, like
wholeheartedly
trust cops. Yeah, too much, right? Yeah. And I was never on that. I was like, look, cops are individuals. If you want to show me the case of Michael Brown and say that that cop defended himself, I'm 100% with you. But when you start making the case that you have to trust cops all the time, you get something like Uvalde, right? Yeah. And now we've started to see it. It's like, you can't trust teachers are underpaid. They're underpaid. They're wonderful. They're just trying to help kids, except that they're trying to trans your kids and all this stuff. It's like, just because someone has a certain job and you get brainwashed in this idea that you have to trust them because of their title, you forget that they're human beings. And that's the thing about doctors too. I feel like COVID showed us that.
Yeah, well, this guy's showing you something different. Yeah. This guy,
don't hit play. Don't hit play.
Oh no, I'm not going to play.
No, yeah, I don't think he can play.
No, and I don't think that this is that doesn't show that anyway.
Right, yeah.
They've blurred some things. This doctor is orally raping a sedated woman. So he's behind that. You can see they're doing surgery over here. Right there, you can see they're doing surgery, and then right here he's doing his own procedure.
Yeah, so that's terrible.
Unreal. I don't trust doctors for that reason and many more.
Well,
same.
2020, opened a lot of eyes, I think, to a lot of people in trusting the medical community as a whole, where the trust factor has come down to the point where people now are questioning, and what we probably should have been doing for a long time now, questioning some of the methods and methodologies that they've been utilizing, on patients, because putting them on those ventilators early on was like the worst thing they could have done. They overinflated lungs. They killed people because of what they were doing. A lot of the deaths early on came from the ventilators.
They know this now, and it's quietly been talked about in the back pages of the New York Times and other places.
These people need to go to jail. These people need to stand trial.
All these. We need to have the evidence shown to the public that they knew what they were doing when they did it. They knew that remdesivir would flood the lungs and that the ventilator would blow the lungs up, and together that's a deadly combination. They knew it, and that's why they used it.
And they also got $45,000 every time they put someone on a ventilator, and that's the thing. Money corrupts, and people are.
And even today, one of the news outlets have reported that quietly the NIH came out and said yes, they were funding gain of function research after Fauci testified in Congress that they were not. When Rand Paul called him out on it and had the documentation back it up, and the media, obviously surrounded Fauci. Oh, no. Rand Paul is absolutely incorrect on this. And when it truly wasn't, that he was right. So, these people do need to stand trial. Everybody that was involved, from the media, the medical community, politicians, anybody that sat there and had a direct impact on people's lives and people died, they need to be held on trial. It needs to be like a Nuremberg type of deal. But do we have an institution that we could trust that could hold those types of trials right now? I don't think we do.
It's far more important that 69-year-old cancer grandma gets sent to the gulags for walking around in a public building she was allowed into by the police than to go after the people who intentionally killed your grandma, like Whitmer, like Cuomo, like the doctors that were getting paid $45,000 to put them on a deadly ventilator that they knew was going to kill them. It's far more important that cancer grandma gets punished. And that's where we're at in this society. It's so crazy to me because the more that we talk about, and the last couple of years have been pretty eye-opening for anybody paying attention. The more we talk about the stuff that was conspiracy theory and it comes out as fact, and we get video evidence and documented evidence of every kind of crime imaginable, and people just forget about it the next week. This Hunter Biden thing, like, as much as I want to talk about it, no one will care, and nothing will result of it. And it's hard to not become a little bit black-pilled when you see so much going on again. Like, at this point, we know that the China virus came from China, from a freaking lab, and that was enough to get you kicked off of everything.
From China.
It came from China. Okay, everybody knows. Listen, I've talked to all the experts. They all said it. And they're all smart people, okay? We get the best people. They all said it's China. It came from Wuhan. And everyone knows it.
Absolutely. So you had a story you wanted to bring up, Tom, I think.
Yeah, I pulled it up here. I hope that you can
Yeah.
see it, because if not, then
Yeah,
I'm
we can
seeing
see it.
things. So as we're talking about what you can't trust, doctors, the CDC, the FDA, the NWA, etc. I don't know. The LGBT Q chat. Now, here's the left's version of Q. You thought that Q was a way to spread misinformation, disinformation, or outright harm the public awareness of what the reality. That's what Jen Psaki said in a nutshell. She had said that QAnon and other baseless conspiracy theories are designed to destabilize the society. Well, here's another, the left's own Q spin. This is positive environments being created for LGBT youth to go and commit themselves to little chat rooms. So imagine it was, the late 90s, early 2000s, AOL, you could log on and there was a chat room. And if you had a, tab 123 would get rid of the bar and go to like a fake gaming page. They have this, quick exit as well, where you can trigger a couple keys in a row and it will hide the page from your parents as they come to look over your shoulder. So this is a chat app, they say, designed for LGBT kids to encourage each other to learn about themselves and the way the world works for gay people, in a nutshell. As you read through this, maybe Frank wants to start reading it, it is disgusting. They want this to be the way that kids give all the information about their psyche, about their feelings, about things they wouldn't tell a diary. They want that to go into this chat, and they want the FBI to have it. Now, this comes on the heels of the FBI creating a child identity locking app where parents can upload a photo and a handprint and a name tag and whatever else, all the other identifiables.
When you're home, when your kid's home alone, and when they get out of school, and all the relevant information a pedophile would need. Yeah.
Their school schedule, their sports schedule.
When they get
upload
home,
a picture
the
of their school ID.
On and it's their FBI agent. Hey, do you want to talk more about this LGBT stuff today?
Well, so now you see that's the first ever FBI app. They rolled that out to keep parents able to help the law enforcement get their kid once their kid gets abducted. And now you see this, another app that the CDC, another federal arm, rolling out to let the kids skirt around parental advisory and parental controls. Every new TV has the ability to set up parental controls on it, but somehow the CDC thinks it's healthy for kids to exercise gay activity, gay behavior, which is in itself not healthy outside of their parents' awareness.
So the fact that this is coming from the Center of Disease Control, does that like a soft admission that the LGBTQ stuff is a disease?
Monkeypox said what?
Yeah. No, but like it's weird because right at the top of the article, it says something I think very telling. It says, quote, some LGBT youth are more likely than their heterosexual peers to experience negative health and life outcomes. I wonder why. And the fact that they're not talking about things like complications from chemical castration and genital mutilation says a lot. You're right. It's really weird. It's full of a lot of sources of all these brainwashing things. I mean, the Q chat is definitely the big thing, but like it's hidden amongst a bunch of other sources of, if you're a parent, this is how you should treat your kid. This is how you can get them on, life-altering drugs. This is how you can get them surgery that will screw them up for forever while they're young. This is how you can brainwash them. This is resources for teachers and how teachers can continue to brainwash kids. And then, like you said, in it is hidden this thing, Q chat, which is one of the most terrible marketing names. Like seriously, anybody hears Q chat and doesn't know is instantly going to think of QAnon, like you said, right?
When you first said it, back when we were still before we went on air, I was thinking Q. That in my head, I was like, QAnon.
Have you guys paid any attention to the resurgence of the Q stuff?
Yeah, a little bit about here and there, and I don't want to get too deep into that. We'll be here forever.
For sure.
And that would be fine. We could do that, but it's another show. Here, that's what I wanted to get to right here. The Q Card project and the Q chat space. So they say the Q Card project is a simple and easy to use communication tool designed to empower LGBTQ plus youth to become actively engaged in their health and to support the people who provide their care. Now, when you learn about what LGBT youth health and care is, you just go to Genderqueer, where they're talking about how to learn to masturbate. They want these kids to be told as young as 9 years old how to masturbate because it's good for their health.
Right.
So when they say we're going to get these kids actively engaged in their health, you're going to get this app telling these kids how to jerk off or diddle themselves.
Would this be under the guise of grooming?
Well, it's outright sexualization of a child. And here's the other one. Q Chat Space is a digital LGBTQ plus center where teens join a live chat, professionally facilitated, groomed.
Wait.
There could
Adult
be adults in that
facilitated.
chat as well, though, too. Correct?
Say that again.
There could be adults in that chat as well.
Well, there
That was
has
my
to be, because
point.
there's
It's
no such thing as
facilitated-
there's no child who's a professional.
It's facilitated by adults. So what you're doing is you're getting a bunch of children to come to a anonymous source to tell adults about their weird sexual fantasies.
Yeah,
That's
but you know what?
creepy.
It's there's not like a parent. It's more like an older sibling. We can call it Big Brother.
Or an uncle, like that weird uncle you had when you were a kid that made you call him Bad Touch.
Oh, but
No,
this
I'm
really
serious.
is. This
It's
is
so
Big
creepy.
Brother. This is Big Brother for your kids. This is, hey, little Jimmy, why don't you come and tell me how it made you feel in your shorts when you went on that ride at Cedar Point? This
Right.
is, hey, when I touch you here, how does it make you feel there? And then the FBI is getting off on this.
Yeah, this is something I had posted on my personal Facebook page. Was linked to this story, linked to the CDC.
Do we lose Frank?
Frank, you're not peeing this time. You know it's not that. He didn't just have to go to the bathroom that quickly.
Is Frank back?
No, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So, no, I was just saying this is something I posted on my Facebook talking about how the government is actively working against parents' authority in the household in order to get to their kids. And we're seeing it at all levels now, all government institutions, schools, government institutions such as the CDC. I'm sure there's others out there, and then all the other corporations. And it should be a red flag for many, many parents out there to disconnect their kids from like almost everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff about this thing too, though. Like I don't find it funny. I just find it interesting that every time you peel back the layers of the LGBTQ agenda or any of these, it's mostly in the LGBTQ agenda. You peel back the layer just a tiny little bit. You don't have to dig deep at all. Is you get right into direct Satanism, and it happens in this too. They go right from gender affirming surgeries as a topic to self-discovery and astrology and queering tarot. And it's obvious with the drag queen stuff. Like they want to get drag queens in front of your kids, and what do drag queens dress up as? They dress up as demons. It's just right here. It just goes right into it, like right away. So not only are they getting your kids onto a site that has a button that literally with a little stick figure running away that lets you hide your site instantly, like a big button right there. Like as soon as your parents walk in the room, hide it. The behind the scenes, as soon as they get you in for all the crazy stuff, which is already damaging your kids, they want to get you right into astrology and queer tarot and queering up the occult stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, it doesn't take much to dive into any of this stuff to get back into a satanic agenda.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't take much to shape a child's mind either. Right. It's easy to manipulate children, or indoctrinate them in any manner that you see fit. And who's doing that indoctrination? Is it you, the parents, who indoctrinating your kids into a tradition of family, a tradition of Christianity, and things like that promotes healthy lifestyles? Or are you allowing the government, or in this case, schools and entertainment to indoctrinate your child for you? And we see what they're trying to indoctrinate them with.
Well, you said it right there. Indoctrinate is not a dirty word. Indoctrinate is like power, right? There's two different directions you can go. As a parent, you're supposed to teach your kid doctrine, just like a church teaches you doctrine. You indoctrinate in some way. You teach them the acceptable and healthy ways and means in which to live their life. And instead of letting parents, this whole website is around the idea of making sure your parents don't even know about this. It actually says in the article, or a Breitbart article, pull some stuff up. It says an academic article about QChat published by the National Library of Medicine website praised the service for its ability to be hidden from parents, saying that the platform's chat-based nature likely helps you avoid concerns about family members accidentally overhearing your conversations. And then it goes on to say, the chat seems specifically designed to be concealed from your parents and family members. Each section of the website has a large button on the bottom of the screen that says tap here for a quick escape, where when you click it, the button takes you to the Google homepage hiding the site. So the entire thing is, we want to indoctrinate your kids, the government, the CDC. This is actually also funded partially by Planned Parenthood. They want to indoctrinate your kids, and then they want to make it sound like an awful word or an awful dirty word, indoctrination. They want to make it sound like an awful thing that you would want to teach your kids about church, about family, about traditions, about anything that you hold sacred to yourself. That's not the parents' job. That's the government's job.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, the language that they use. Like, they don't like the word tradition, because that is something that is like to be traditional is bad. But to your point, like to to impress upon another person your culture is a good thing. So like culture doesn't have to last. Traditions last. Traditions are culture that, promotes culture, that lives on and can be sustainable. Whereas like clearly the gay culture is not sustainable. So it can't be a tradition because it can't be repeatable. It's not it can't be lived on. You can't say there's always been a great historical tradition of everyone being gay. No. In fact, the tradition is most people aren't by a large degree. So that is the culture that they want to push. They can't accept tradition. And if you ask them like, so what are some of the, LGBT traditions that you want to support for Pride, right? That's if you're going to interview someone at Pride Month, you ask, what are some of the LGBT traditions that you celebrate during Pride? And they can't think of one thing that they would call a tradition. They even tell you, no, we don't do it like that. That's not what we call that. And they,
the only tradition they have is the Stonewall riots. So rioting is in their tradition. If you go back to the 50s or 60s, and they talk about that a lot on their Instagram page. And one of the other things they put on their Instagram page, because like you said, like you can't perpetuate gayness. It doesn't. Your genes don't carry on.
They try. They try to.
They try. Well, they'll use people like Dave Rubin to sell this to the right that you can buy children from women and raise them. I'm sorry, that's so crazy that anybody on the right is praising Dave Rubin for literally stealing a child from its mother.
I loved it where Mark Dice called out Matt Walsh for saying congratulations to him.
Yeah, and I like Matt Walsh on a lot of things, but I totally disagree with him on that.
But Mark Dice, being that individual who is steadfast on that stuff, saying, hey, aren't you supposed to be, why are you accepting this?
Yeah, if you're going to say what is a woman and try to hold the truth, which I think he's doing a great job with, and I praise him on that type of stuff, you have to, part of that is like, what is the nuclear family and why is it important? And I know he supports that, so it's weird that he kind of was like, maybe because he's a friend, he just wanted to be nice to him. And I don't think that really fits with Matt Walsh's character. I wish he wouldn't have done that. But one of the other memes on their QChat Instagram displays a Trojan horse, and this really says everything. It explains that children may realize they're queer after learning about queerness from their friends. And
right.
That's exactly what it is. They can't perpetuate this, so they're going to brainwash and indoctrinate you. And it goes against what they're saying, that you're born this way, which also doesn't make sense in the trans community, but they'll still hold on to two ideas that are mutually exclusive ideas, but then they'll outright say it in a meme like, yeah, we're using this as a Trojan horse to indoctrinate your kids into the LGBTQ religion, which is what it is.
Yeah.
I had pulled this up a moment ago, and it was not the right time. I jumped the gun on showing this, but this was just going back to what Lizzie Longtoes was asking about. She'd sent this. Apparently that woman we had talked about before, Tudor Dixon in Michigan, has been caught up doing some softcore porn. Among other things. So she's supported Whitmer in the past. She's talked trash about people that we, supposedly like. So again, I wouldn't, I'm going to go into this article in more detail on my own, but, and again, thank you for sending it and for the super chat, but just to put a point on that, everything the left does and all of their plants within the right are sexualized and have a hypersexualized history of something. So you're going to find like Tudor Dixon, if she's doing softcore porn, or anybody else who runs as a conservative to try to take a spot that would be an America First or a MAGA Patriot candidate. You're going to see those people having those skeletons fall out of the closet. And I would bet that white hats will be pushing those skeletons out before elections come. That'll just be my hope.
Yeah, I would hope so. We'll see if that strategy works for Tiara Mack. If you guys saw that story, the upside
we'll see
down
how that strategy works out, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll
shaking her ass on a beach.
Shaking her ass upside down on a beach with a birthmark that looks like she shat herself.
Yeah, well, it was just she wasn't wearing a pamper. And did you guys see the I guess it was a Photoshop of Joe Biden doing his lean in and sniff while she's doing her twerk? I don't know.
I've seen that.
No, I saw a different one, but yeah, it was like the upside down thing of her in front of the podium for the Speaker of the House.
So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. We only got we're about 15 minutes, and I want to leave 5 minutes so we can read all the super chats from earlier.
Sure.
And here, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this article real quick, or on this amendment that was added to the national defense stuff. Is Schiff and Pelosi had. Where is it here?
Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff.
He's got the weakest, thinnest neck I've ever seen. Adam Pencil Neck Schiff.
So right here, it says Schiff snuck that amendment into the National Defense Authorization Act that would prohibit any evidence collected in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act from being used in a number of proceedings, including criminal trials and congressional investigations.
Right. So anything our military finds in Ukraine, we can't use against them. So anything our military uncovers or has to cover for, biolabs, targeting Slavic populations, ethno warfare, the things that we know would be like
Nazi
genocidal
regimes.
maniac shit, the stuff that we would invade another country for doing, our military can't use that. And when we take the House and we retake the Senate, our Republicans cannot use those things to prove the things we know. That's
well,
what
right
really
here, this is also falls under. It says the weekend before Congress met to certify the 2020 election, Rosen created this team of elite government agents at Quantico, a magical place where the FBI and U.S. military coexist. It's all very secret U.S. military type stuff. While Rosen was rejecting all last-minute requests to investigate election fraud, he was also managing this very top secret, very hush-hush operation that was happening right before the January 6th rally was set to take place. This group was so elite that it included commandos who had shoot-to-kill orders. So this would all fall under that military amendment to where if Republicans, when they retake the House, would not be able to ask for that evidence or ask for those documents from the military, from the what's his name, the Department of Defense guy,
Esper?
Esper. No, not Esper. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name too, but I know you're
The
talking
black
about.
guy.
Who it is?
The black guy.
Austin, Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense. You know what I think is odd too about this is there are people on the Intel committee who already know. There are people on the Intel committee who already have all of the answers that we were going to want, and all they have to do is release that to the individual committees or to the body of Congress, whether it's the House or the Senate. They're not going to be able to with this amendment. So there are going to be people who know full well what's going on. There are going to be people who know whatever was happening in Ukraine that we were told on the floor, both of the UN and here, not here, but in DC. Who was the gal who had said, we do have laboratories. They said, do we have bio warfare?
Oh, I remember her. Yeah.
Do we have weapons or what? And she goes, we have laboratories where we're doing military work, but don't want to say the word weapon. So Victoria, she comes out at Newland and says, we do have that. So that would fall under this amendment. All of that information, who gave the order, who knew, and when did we know it? Did COVID come from Ukraine? And then, not Ukraine, but did COVID come from a lab that houses the same kinds of things like Wuhan did?
Right.
And if that's why we're now freaking out about Ukraine, what an easy way to make that the money pit that we're going to launder the world's, treasure out of.
Yep. No, for sure. So no, I just thought it was very interesting. It was so close of a vote. Pelosi actually had to come down and actually cast a vote for it as well. Now we know it has to go through the Senate. Will the Senate, gut that out, or will they allow it to remain?
I hope that the Senate guts it out. I mean, you can see how much the Democrats are coming out against Joe Manchin right now. So maybe there's a chance that there's at least one or two honest enough Democrats to stop this from going through. But yeah, I mean, this is why the midterms are so important right now. If people think that they won't cheat for the midterms and they won't put fake candidates in on the right side, they're wrong, because the midterms are extremely important to all of this type of stuff coming out. The Ukraine stuff, the January 6th stuff, like literally since Biden's been president, we've had a minority in all parts of the government, other than, I guess the Supreme Court is they're bitching about now. They want to stack the Supreme Court, but anywhere else where things could matter as far as legislation, as far as getting to the truth, we don't have enough votes to come to that. So the midterms are huge. And to go to that, talking about like fake candidates. Do you guys see that Project Veritas leak? I can't remember the name. It was, Crystal. I can't make this up. That's why I remember it. Crystal Matthews. Yeah, it was Crystal Matthews. So Crystal Math, I love the name. She was literally caught she was caught on a conversation she thought was with a inmate talking about how they needed to get fake Republicans and put them into all different parts of the government. Yeah. So it's not anything new. But I think that's why it's important to look for people like Dixon and call them out. So,
Well, I've got one more thing I'll show you then too. Here is Nancy Pelosi just the other day in May, so a couple months ago. But she said this line a few times. She said it last week as well. I have absolutely no intention of us losing this election.
Yep.
Referring to midterms. She said this last week again. I have no intention of losing the House. So she believes that they will pick up 6 Senate seats. She believes they're going to hold on to the House. And if you believe that, and you're Nancy Pelosi, you believe that, you should have reason to believe it. And my suspicion is it's because they have set this up. They have fortified elections. They know who's going to win. They've already chosen the winners and losers. They've cleaned it up even more so than after 2020 because they saw what we could see and they made sure we can't see it again.
Right.
And all that will be wrong will be even more wrong. We just won't see it. That's my fear.
This is also why I say that voting is not entirely fake and why you actually can overcome the odds, because this was also the case in 2016. Like a lot of people don't want to point out the fact that the elections have been fortified, as the Times called it, for a long time. We saw Obama getting more votes in counties than people. And when it was Trump, they were entirely certain, and you could tell the breakdown. If you were like me and you stayed up all night, I always do on election nights. I stay up all night and listen to all the coverage I can. You could see that they had no idea that this was ever going to happen. They freaked out. It was not even, it was a foregone conclusion that Hillary Clinton had it. They actually pushed Trump to be in the position he was because they thought he would be the easy candidate to beat.
Correct.
And you could tell that not one of them ever thought that this was going to happen because they had fortified the election enough in their minds. So we've just got to do a lot to unfortify their stuff and get out there and vote. You know, I think that was probably part of the problem in Georgia. You know, people were so disheartened by the 2020 election. They didn't want to go out and help make sure we didn't lose the Senate majority.
Yeah. And Frank, this is why my answer was what it was when you had asked me before about Kathy Barnett versus Dr. Oz. And what I was arguing was it's about the numbers. And well, maybe a couple of weeks ago when we had talked about it, it's about numbers. And if you can get the middle-aged moms and stay-at-home folks, people who don't typically vote, the low information, probably not a voter, to say, well, I know who Dr. Oz is, I'll vote for him, but they don't know who Kathy is. That is how we get outside the margin of steal. So there's a margin of error to win, but we know that they'll cheat for that. They'll even cheat so far as to go above and beyond 100% of ballots counted. They'll just create ballots and go outside of 100% to win. What we need to do is get so many people to vote in an election and for our person that there is no way to come up with a fake number of ballots to steal it, which means a super majority of people voting for you just to win one election. That's what Trump's doing with Oz, I think. And I don't have to like Oz for him to win an election. That's how you win this.
If it was as simple as flipping a switch, they wouldn't have had a bunch of mules stuffing ballot boxes all over the country. That's yeah. So I agree with you. There is a margin of steal, and we have to overcome that. And it's unfortunate where we're at, but we have to overcome that for the midterms to start putting in these policies and implement these things as far as governors and even state races to make sure that places like Wisconsin do what they did and stop these drop ballot boxes.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's why it's so important. Our local election or your local elections are so important in all of those areas. So,
you know, if we were the left, we would be arguing right now. Sorry to cut you off, Frank. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
If we were the left, we would be arguing that Wisconsin, by having said through the Supreme Court that was unconstitutional and is illegal to have those ballot boxes. If we were the left, we'd be saying the entire election, we need to throw it out. We need to redo it because one state proven now it's on the record. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's not legitimate. And we need to decertify it. They would be clamoring to do that. And I guess, who wants to win harder? The people who are willing to cheat to win or the people who are willing to stand down even though we just got cheated?
Right.
Well, they've cowed people so much with the January 6th stuff that they're afraid. And that's unfortunate that we've got so many people that are willing to be intimidated that way and don't realize that politics is dirty and it's going to get dirtier.
Yep.
It's going to become physical soon.
True. Did you want to get to the super chats though, Frank? I know we're getting close to the end of time.
Yeah, I did. As we push up toward the end here, next week we will have a guest will be joining us. So I'll be excited to have that. We'll have somebody from one of the other tech companies joining us here and talking about, whatever topics we have and questions we got for him and questions for you guys. So you'll be excited to have him on. And then after that week, we'll take it week by week, see whether or not we'll have a guest or not. If it's not, it'll just be the three of us, which I think is a great time anyway. But I wanted to get to the super chats that we had here from this one was from I Like Salt. It says Ocean Breeze Salty, just because. Yes, just because he could. So we do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We also had this one from Joseph Rivera, who was just a super sticker of $10, and we thank you for that. This one was from, I'm going to mispronounce that. Anybody get that first name for me?
Niurka?
Okay,
Niurka Lopez, Cuba.
So thank you so much, and congratulations on becoming a mod today. I saw you doing great work out there in the chat, so appreciate you. Thank you. Movie Dog says, at home abortion kit. Buy it at Walmart.
It's coming.
$5 super chat.
It's coming.
Soon.
They'll rebrand the coat hangers.
Might be on the clearance aisle there. And then from MH2462 with a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much for that. Joseph Rivera again. Thank you. And then we had Ocean Breeze Salty says, I'm your DiGiorno gal, Frank. LOL. Awesome.
Ooh.
Thank you so much.
But we were all disappointed to learn that Frank just had to pee and he wasn't actually getting DiGiorno. So.
No.
I was relieved.
Having here would be great. This one was from Joseph Rivera. Says, breakfast tacos unite. That's right. We got to stick together, my friend.
What's a good like Irish breakfast? Does anyone have an Irish breakfast?
There's no such thing as a good Irish breakfast.
I was just gonna say like a stout. There's a breakfast stout.
Oh, maybe that would be good.
Tara Egger says, demons go ree when Jesus gets spoken. Yes, it does.
Hallelujah.
This one was from number 1 to you. Says, why is everyone so surprised AOC is calling for an investigation into the January 6th committee? She hates Pelosi, and the squad probably wants to get some idiot as House Speaker before Trump, in my humble opinion.
I'm not surprised. I actually love the fact that AOC is in government for this exact reason, because she doesn't understand how to play to her line because she's just too stupid. And she says all the stuff she's not supposed to say. She goes after all the people she's not supposed to. So, look, if you're going to have a deep blue district anyway, having AOC in there is actually a gift to the right. And I want her to keep getting elected in that district until a Republican can actually take it, which
she
probably
is
will
a
never
useful
happen.
idiot.
So I want AOC in there.
She's the useful idiot that is quickly becoming more idiot than she is useful to the party that she represents. And I wonder if in a decade, and I say this totally hypothetical, we're almost to the end of the show, forgive me. I wonder if in a decade, AOC will be like an America First for the people representative of New York. I wonder.
Asking enough questions that I almost could see that happening.
Because I told you, I said it earlier, the people who will be on our side in the very, very end, fighting the hardest, will be the people who are right now
duped,
blindfolded and duped, thinking they're right. And when they see their kid got transed against their will, or when they see that now their thing has affected them, and they have that blindfold lifted or the wool gets pulled off of their eyes, now they go, oh, and they're infuriated. So I wonder, maybe it won't be AOC, maybe it'll be someone like her who is on the left, maybe like a Tulsi who comes full to the right. You don't know. I think she's got her own problems, but there could be an AOC type who we do not like now, who says dumb things now, and we need to be ready to, in years after some, time and forgiveness and spiritual searching, maybe be welcoming to them going, you know what? I was wrong. I was stupid. I've learned my lesson. Because those are good, useful people too. God uses the good and the bad to work things here on earth.
This was the first week where I ever thought, it's not that long before AOC comes to the right. I'm not joking. I had the same thought. So
once she realizes Pelosi set these people up and that we're holding American citizens in a jail cell the way that we are, she sees herself in them more than she sees herself in the elite. That's when that switch gets flipped.
Right. I think so too.
Thanks to Movie Dog for the $5 super sticker. We also had one here from Mark Damien for $5 European. Is that
€5?
Euros. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I get all the euros, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, Joseph Rivera says Salty Army is Legion. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you to all the Salty Army that is joining us tonight. We do appreciate it. Thank you. I saw that Salty actually liked our post today over on Gab tonight. So
nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There we go. And we got $5 from Alien Testosterone tonight. So thank you so much, Alien Testosterone. Appreciate it.
Great name.
And we had two more here. Hold on a second. We got one more from
you had a recent one.
Yeah, we got one here from Joseph Rivera. Says, my Irish breakfast is steak and eggs with some potatoes.
I can go for that.
Yeah, buddy.
And then for $20, we have waffle salter, excuse me. Great show, friends. Got links to your guest channels. Thanks. P.S. FJB and Salty Army is Legion. Yes, they are. And all the links are in the description, so you guys can find those down there. But if you were looking for them, they will be more than happy to tell you where you can find them. You can find me over on YouTube on Let's Be Frank. You can find Tom.
Yeah, so you can find me, PJ, over at on YouTube. If you look up my channel, PJ Williams, I've got 2 shows that I do there. Wartime Propaganda and Brooding the Beast. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at PJ_Patriot, pretty much anywhere else. And I just started getting on the Rumble. So look up Wartime Propaganda over there. That's my weekly show. Those are my weekly shows besides this. So
Yeah, if you guys are on Rumble, checking that out, you can go over to America Floats. That is my channel. I'm on all of the other platforms as well. America Floats is on Gab, Getter, Minds, Truth Social. It's at America Floats, kind of a silly name, trying to keep your head above the sea of garbage headlines and news that's out there, and otherwise keep your spirits lifted up a little bit here. So every other day, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do a live float show at 8 p.m. To kind of offset whatever other live streams you might be watching nightly. Instead of the fake news on your TV, you can watch the real patriotic, pushing back against the establishment news here as the independents continue to push. So thank you again to PJ Williams and to Frank, Let's Be Frank, for allowing us all, I guess, to get on and do this on a Saturday night again, and to be a part of a fun panel, a part of a pun panel. We'll continue to have fun every week and make it more and more fun as we add people in as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to also say thank you to Can Killer over there on Odysee for the Odysee coin. So I do appreciate the library coin. So thank you over there for that. And yeah, absolutely. We look forward to doing this again next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I hope you guys will be joining us and hanging out with us, and bring your favorite beverage and raise it in honor of the last American Pubcast. What a great time to hang out with everybody. And Auctions For You says, love you guys. Awesome show. And thank you. And then we have one more coming in from number one to you.
No,
says,
I think it's no one to you. It's
no one to
you.
There you go. She already knows AOC got the green light from the top handlers to burn the old left. They aren't strong enough to compete with Trump.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all right, thank you guys so much for the super chats and for coming out and supporting the show. Really appreciate it, guys. And next time, drop in the chat what beers you guys are drinking. I'm always looking for new ones to try. So
yeah, and one last thing I'd just like to mention: tonight's show was bigger than the opening show, so that's fantastic. That means you guys are telling your friends or at least sharing it, so that's fantastic. I saw the numbers were way up tonight versus the first Saturday night, so we look forward to making that even bigger next Saturday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was going to be what I said was if you're watching this still, if you're still here watching now, again, like the stream, share it with a friend, go make a post on Gab or Getter or whatever it is that you use, Twitter, and say, this was what I was watching tonight. Be here again next week. We'll be doing the same thing, but better with more fun, more excitement, more headlines, and maybe less confusion or disillusion. Also, thank you again for all of these super chats. We appreciate those. And if you haven't, go check out PJ Patriot and all of his links. Go check out America Floats and all of my links. Go check out Let's Be Frank and all of his links. And thank you again for watching the last American Pubcast.
And we're out.
Take it easy, everyone.
Enjoy our new outro.